Let's see, just to make sure I can hear myself. Wow. It took me like an entire minute to be able to hear myself on the stream. That is a really bad delay. I hope this was worth buying all 7. Very fiction. If I was going to be ripped apart anyways, having my body ripped apart would have been far better. I trusted her. No, I still trust her. Even in this very moment, I trust her. But I'm starting to realize I only wanted to trust her because I refused to accept the truth. It was as if I was trying to convince myself in such a silly, sobbing voice. And those tears making a mess of my face. That mechanical I can't say all these words. Only the cry of the cicadas remained annoyingly loud, and yet I felt as if I could still hear her voice. But that's not possible. She is no longer speaking. The only one crying is me. She never cried. Even when she repeated those words over and over, she never expressed any emotion because there was none to show. If she had no tears to shed for me, then I shouldn't need to shed any for her. Then why, this pain in my eyes getting moist, why was this happening? I still wanted to believe I hadn't been split apart. That's enough, right? Inside me, an inner voice whispered gently. My spirit had suffered enough. And countless times I'd wavered over whether I should just throw the battered thing away. Except, I've stubbornly refused to do that, haven't I? I'd feel better if I just threw it away. Even knowing that, I chose to believe, didn't I? Only I can understand that painful struggle and appreciate it. Hey, me. I've tried more than enough. I'll acknowledge that much. So, isn't it alright to just take the easy way out? Besides, I'm not throwing it away. I'm leaving it behind with her, like flowers by a grave. Now then, calm your nerves. Even though you can't feel your right arm, just lift it up, and with every swing, forget a little more. The kindness made me happy. That adorable smile brought me joy. I liked petting your head. I loved how demure you were. Because this will be the last time. Because when I swing this down, I'll forget. This is my first and last bouquet for you. Perhaps I really did love you. Game's over. Well, that was a nice stream. I hope you enjoyed. Somebody had been apologizing for a while now. I wonder what she's apologizing for. It felt wrong to eavesdrop, so I tried to ignore it. It had been a while since I had last went to the city. I only returned to attend the funeral of a relative. Even though I'd lived there until last month, I found the bustle of the city to be overwhelming. The skyscrapers and the multi-lane roads, the melodious cacophony of the crosswalk. Even the campaign speeches blaring in front of the station felt nostalgic. The place where I live now isn't nearly as lively. There's only the chirping of locusts and the babbling of brooks, and the cry of the Higurashi, the evening cicadas. What a title drop. Biggest title drop in anime. Rather than making me feel lonely, that quietness had begun to instill a sense of serenity. There is nothing where I'm living now. I don't just mean there aren't any burger joints, there aren't even vending machines. No music stores, no restaurants, and no arcades. An ice cream parlor? No chance. The nearest town has some stuff like that, but it's an hour away by bike. But come to think of it, it wasn't really a big deal. There were music stores and arcades and ice cream parlors where I used to live, but it wasn't like I ever hung out at any of them. I had lived in this city for 10 years and never once been to an ice cream parlor. I should have gone at least once. It's only now that I'm starting to regret that a little. Somebody is still apologizing. Who is she apologizing to? She's apologized so much, so just forgive her already. There's no reason anyone should ever need to apologize so much. I just started to feel a bit annoyed at whoever was refusing to forgive her. No matter how bad the mistake, there's nothing that can't be forgiven. There's no such thing as an irreparable mistake. You just need to be more careful next time. She's still apologizing, even now. Then, has she really done something that can't be fixed? I have no idea what she's done, but if it can't be fixed, then that's all the more reason to forgive her. No matter how much she apologizes, nothing will change. But even so, she keeps apologizing in such a heartbreaking voice. Hey you, the one she's apologizing to, why don't you just go ahead and forgive her? She's apologizing in such a pathetic voice.
Keiichi, そろそろ着くぞ。
Keiji, we're almost there.
起きなさい。
Wake up. I was finally aroused from my nap by my father's prodding. It seemed the train had reached its final stop. We'd spent hours riding everything from the bullet trains to the local routes. It was hard to believe that the landscape beyond the window in the city I was in half a day ago were in the same country. No, that they were even from the same era. From there, we take a car deeper into the mountains. Past where the dense forest enverging on the mountain road suddenly opened up. there, where I live now, Hinamizawa. Game's over again. Even though we were approaching summer, the morning air still had a frigid bite. Although, in exchange, you could fill up your lungs with crisp, clean air. Flipping open the window, I was greeted with a verdant expanse. Nothing but trees. The neighboring house was far away on the other side, so I was probably the only one enjoying that view and that air. I filled my lungs with another deep breath. Since I started living in Hinamizawa, I learned that even air had its own taste. Damn, I'm starting to stutter. I quickly finished getting ready for school and headed downstairs for breakfast. My mother was the only one there. My father was nowhere to be seen. He was probably up working until the early morning. Dad has a rather unconventional job as a painter. It's such a laid-back profession. Get up when you want, sleep when you want, and work when you want. I was so jealous of that easygoing lifestyle. I even wrote for school that I wanted to be a painter when I grow up. Dad was ecstatic about it. It was just because it looked easy. I'd never tell him that, though. Mom laid breakfast out on the table. Seaweed, pickled vegetables, raw egg, and grilled salmon. My mom was such a good cook, it was scary. A perfect, immaculate, ideal breakfast. Unlike my dad, who didn't even know the meaning of the word schedule, my mom never squandered any time or effort. She hummed a little tune as she brought over the miso soup. It seemed like she was in a good mood today.
こっちに引っ越してきてから圭一が早起きになって嬉しいわね。
I'm so happy you've been waking up early since we moved here, Keiichi.
早起きしないと朝飯を食いそびれるんだよ。
If I don't get up early, I don't make it in time for your early breakfasts. I thought I was being cute, responding with a wisecrack about being praised for being good.
ご飯はいっぱい？それとも半分くらいでいい？
Full bowl of rice will be half enough.
山盛り。
Pile it on. First, I savored the steaming hot rice with the seaweed. After that, I covered it with the egg. Between bites of rice, I enjoyed the crunch of the pickles. Not bad at all. Excellent as usual. Watching me clean my plate, Mom gave me a warm smile.
こっちに引っ越してきてから圭一が朝食を欠かさないんで嬉しいわね。
I'm so happy you haven't skipped breakfast ever since we moved here, Keiichi. I was not a morning person when we lived in the city. I slept right until the last minute before school and rarely ate breakfast. Boycotting the breakfast Mom made me each morning, that was probably the only way I could protest being forced to attend cram school. I guess that was what you'd call my rebellious phase. I wouldn't so much as look at the breakfast she woke up early every day to make. If I could go back in time, I'd slap myself. Mindful of the time, Mom rushed me along with a wide grin.
そろそろレナちゃんと待ち合わせの時間じゃない？
Isn't it about time you meet up with Reina-chan?
急いで急いで。
Hurry, hurry! Mom really seemed to enjoy the fact that her son was going to school with a girl. Reina is one of my classmates. She really loves looking after people, coming to meet me every day without fail. The way I looked at it, a guy my age walking to school with a girl was just lame. But well, keeping a classmate waiting for me every day wouldn't be very considerate. Seriously though, how long does Reina wait there for me every morning? Taking one last gulp of miso soup, I raced for the door.
レナちゃんにお漬物ありがとうって伝えてね。
Please thank Reina-chan for the pickles. Come to think of it, those pickles weren't store-bought, were they? If I'd known that, I would have savored them a bit more.
Ayo!
Morning. Keiichi-kun! Good morning! Her cheerful greeting was as fresh as the morning itself. The best character in the entire series,
相
right
変わらず
here.
早いな。
You're always so early.
たまにはのんび
You
り
should
朝寝
you
坊
try
したっていいん
sleeping
だ
in
ぜ。
some time.
寝坊したら圭一君を待たせちゃうじゃない。
If I sleep in, I'll keep you waiting. She's so conscientious and such a good
その
person.
時は置いてく。
If that ever happens, I'll just leave you behind.
圭一君冷たい。
Ichi-kun, you're so cold.
いつも待っててあげてるのに。
I wait for you all the time.
サクサク置いてく。
I'll leave you in the
キ
dust
リキリ置いてく。
without looking back.
どうして冷たいんだろう。太郎。
Why are you so mean? Why? Reina had a slightly troubled look on her face. Toying with her was rather fun because of how quickly her mood changed.
嘘。ちゃんと待ってるよ。
I'm kidding. I'd wait for you. With those words, Reina seemed to relax. Her face flushed bright red.
ありがとう。
Thank you.
レナが来るまでずーっと待ってる。
I'd wait forever until you came, Reina.
いつまでも。
No matter how long.
ずーっと。
Forever? Reina turned bright red, steam rising from her head as her brain short-circuited. She's especially weak to this sort of talk. It's quite rare to find someone this fun to tease.
レナはロマンスものの文庫本は読んだことあるか？
Have you ever read a romance novel, Reina?
ないよ。読んだことない。
Huh. I haven't. Never read any before. Oh. From that response, I gathered she was interested in them, but was too embarrassed to actually buy one. I couldn't imagine what would happen if she did read one. She'd probably turn red and pass out.
そうそう。お袋から伝言。漬物サンキューでしたって。
Oh yeah, message from Mom. She says thanks for the pickles.
どういたしまして。
It was nothing. You're welcome.
どうだった？
How were they?
しょっぱくなかったかな？
Not too salty? They weren't that salty. Actually, they had a pretty light flavor to them. It would have been fine just to be honest and say they were good, but apparently I couldn't be that forthright.
その前に聞きたい。
I'd like to ask something before
あの
that.
漬物を漬けたのはレナか？
Were you the one who pickled them, Reina?
レナのお母さんか？
Or was it your mom?
なんで聞くんだろう。
Why do you ask?
しょっぱかった？
Were they too salty? Her attitude completely changed as she began to panic frantically.
レナか？レナのお母さんか？
Was it you, Reina, or was it your mom?
なんで作った人聞くんだろう。太郎。
Why are you asking who made them? Why?
どっちが作ったかで感想が著しく変わる。
Depending on who made them, my opinion of them might change drastically. She counted frantically on her fingers, trying to remember the amount of salt she used to pickle them. It wasn't like I was trying to tease her, but I couldn't stop myself. Guys who take pleasure in this kind of thing are probably the worst. Guys like me. Reina nervously opened and closed her mouth over and over, trying to muster a response.
レナだけど。
It was me.
うまかった。
Delicious.
前回に続きなかなかだったぜ。飯との相性は最高だった。
Pretty good, just like the last ones. They went perfectly with the rice. Her face went bright red again. She was completely spacing out. It truly was a lot of fun to tease her. I pray that Reina never gets taken advantage of by some lowlife. Keep at it, Reina. I'll train you until you handle it like the average person. Or so I decided for
行こう
myself.
ぜ。ミオンを待たせるとあいつうるさいぞ。
Let's go. If we keep Mion waiting, we'll never hear the end of it. Seeing as she just keeps spacing out otherwise, I called Reina back to reality so we can make our own way to school. This strange, easily flustered girl is Reina Ryugu. I've only known her for about a month, but I've come to realize it's not just her name that's strange. Kei-chan, good morning. Coming up to the next rendezvous point, we saw another person waiting for us. Noticing us, she waved.
お、来た来た。遅いよ二人とも。
Ah, finally, you two are late.
いつも遅いのはお前の方だろ。
Usually you're the one who's late. In sharp contrast to the diligent Reina, this one marched to the beat of her own drum. She's Mion Sonozaki. For what it's worth, she's our senior and head of the class.
おはようレナ。そしてケイちゃんお久しぶり。
Morning, Reina. And it's been a while, Kei-chan.
何年ぶりだっけ？
How many years?
2日しか休んでねえよ。
I was only off 2 days.
そうだっけか？
You don't say.
前に会った時はこんなにちっちゃくて可愛かったのにな。
You were such a cute little tyke the last time I saw you. Mion's gaze started at my chest and then dropped straight down, focusing on the point between my legs. So she was saying it was my crotch that was cuter back then. Before you ask, just to be clear, I've never actually tried to show a door before. I've grown quite splendidly. You'd be surprised. Not only is he bigger, but he has a little mustache now. Being so engorged with the energy every morning is quite a problem, though. I'll introduce you next time, so be sure you to greet him properly. Don't say next time, right now is just fine. How about letting the little guy get a breath of fresh morning air? I don't think I've ever heard talk so dirty you could smell it fouling up in the morning air before. Mion sure does act like an old man sometimes. Gotcha. Time for the big reveal. Hope you don't regret it. As my hand reached my flyer, Reina began to ramble in a near panic. Hey, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Red-faced and flustered, Reina tried to play dumb, but it was obvious she knew exactly what we were talking about.
どうだった？
How was it?
久しぶりの都会はさ。
Seeing the city again. Mion switched gears, dropping the dirty talk and changed the topic to something more befitting the pleasant morning.
葬式で行っただけだぜ。慌ただしいだけだったよ。
I only went for a funeral. I didn't have much time.
でさ、探しといてくれた？
So yeah, did you look for it?
頼んどいたやつ。
That thing I asked for?
お前、人の話聞いてないだろ。
You're not listening at all.
俺は葬式で帰っただ
I
けだ
just
ぜ。
came back from a funeral.
おもちゃ屋巡りをしてる余裕なんかなか
I
った
didn't
んだ
have
よ。
time for any time to look around any toy stores.
ち。おもちゃ屋とホビーショップは全然違うよ。
Toy stores and hobby shops are completely different, you know.
特に洋物、こっちじゃなかなか手に入らないからね。
It's really difficult to get Western stuff around here after all.
みーちゃん、またゲームの話？
Is this about games again, Mi-chan? Mion nodded proudly as Reina giggled.
そう、ケイちゃんに洋芸のカタログを持ってきてもらいたかったんだけどね。
Yep, I wanted Kei-chan to bring me back a Westport catalog, you see? Westport was short for Western and imported games. Using that abbreviation did make it sound pretty geeky.
そんなのまた通販で取り寄せりゃいいじゃねえか。
You can just get them to send you one in the mail, can't you?
ま、そうするかな。
Well, I guess I have to now.
またプレイングの熱いゲームを入荷するからね。
I'm going to get another game full of hot action.
今度は私にもわかりやすいゲームがいいな。
This time, I'd like a game that's easy to understand. Mion is a board and card game enthusiast, and I hear she's collected quite a lot of different ones. According to Reina, Mion's room has become a museum for domestic and foreign games.
俺にもわかりそうなゲームがあったらやらせてくれよ。
If there's a game you'd think I'd understand, let me play too.
いいよ。
Yeah, of course.
ケイちゃんさえ良ければね。でもうちらのレベルは高いよ。
If Kei-chan is up for it, I should warn you, though. We're pretty tough.
上等じゃねえか。
Just what I want.
俺だって遊び100般遅れを取るつもりはないぜ。
I play all sorts of games. I don't intend to lose.
あ
Whoa.
ーじゃあ今度はケイチ君も仲間に加わるのかな
Then we'll let you in the group this time, I guess. Bristling with joy from head to toe, Reina looked back and forth between me and Mion. Mion gave her an affirmative wink, and her expression perked up even further.
男の子ってきっと外で遊ぶ方が好きだと思ってたからダメかと思ってたよ。
I thought boys preferred playing outside more, so I figured you wouldn't want to. Reina laughed happily. From such a friendly conversation, you wouldn't think I had moved here less than a month ago. I understood what they did all they could make a transfer student like me feel at home. I'll have to try harder to fit in so they won't feel like they have to try to make me feel welcome. I felt like if I acted a bit more open than I usually am, it should probably be about right for this place. Hinamizamo was a really small village. Not only was there only one school, but there was only one class. That class encompasses all different grades and ages. There are about 30 students at different levels, and they all study in the same class. I'm told that long ago there used to be a bigger school building, and they had actual separate classes. However, it seems something happened that made it become a single class, and now it's stayed that way out of tradition. I was shocked at first, but humans adapt pretty quickly. I've already gotten quite used to it. The sound of children playing started right from the morning. With such a lively mood, it felt more like a kindergarten than a proper school. Not that that was a bad thing. Mion, who had been walking in front of us up until then, suddenly let me take the lead. Right in front of the classroom door. So I was meant to slide the door open and enter the room first. Heh, too bad. I wasn't gonna fall for that again.
ここで先頭を譲るとはな。
To think you'd give up the lead
お
here.
手並み拝見ってことかよ。
You meant for this to be a test of my skills. Mion chuckled with a haughty smirk on her face.
どうしたの二人とも
What is it, you guys?
下がってろレナ。危ないぞ。
Step back, Reina. It's dangerous. She's here. Huh?
じゃあさとこちゃん
Then
は
Satoko-chan is? Her name was Satoko Hojo. She was a disrespectful, impudent, bossy kid. The way she talks was annoying, but it would be immature to get worked up over that. No, Reina's the best girl. The real problem was this.
見え見えの罠だな。引き戸の上に挟んだ黒板
Quite
消
the
し。
obvious trap, a blackboard eraser wedged in the door.
見え見えだぜ、サトコ。
It's too obvious, Satoko. A haughty laugh came from beyond the door.
お見事ケイちゃん。こりゃ今回は勝負あったかな。
Excellent, Kei-chan. I guess that means you win this round?
いや、相手はサトコだ。
No, this is Satoko we're talking
こ
about.
れだけとは思えない。
I doubt this is it. After falling for such intricate traps since the day I transferred, I no longer let my guard down. Satoko liked to combine a variety of traps. Traps that were simply there to bait you into the main one. Traps that relentlessly kept coming at you like a sadistic Rube Goldberg machine. The list goes on. As well as being clever, they almost never misfire. When you least expect it, she strikes. No escape, no time to
見たと
relax.
ころ黒板消しは普通。
By the looks of it, this eraser is normal.
石とかは
No
入れてない
rocks
み
or
たいだな。
anything in it. I took a pretty heavy hit from a blackboard eraser loaded with rocks on my first day.
じゃあさガラガラって開けて落としちゃえばいいんじゃないかな
So then why don't you just open the door and let it drop? I'm Husky's apprentice. I am the number 2 Reina lover.
それだ。
That's what it is. That's what Satoko was after, making me focus my attention upward. So as I lifted my hand to the door, there was thumbtacks stuck to the sliding door handle with tape. A frightening trap. A potent and terrifying trap. Concealed by using the blackboard
見事
eraser.
なコンボだ、サトコ。
An impressive combination, Satoko.
だが所詮はガキの浅知恵だったな。
But in the end, nothing more than the trivial machinations of a child. Assured of my victory, I threw the door open and stepped into the room. I felt something strange at my ankle. It was similar to the sensation of a jump rope catching on my leg. By the time I realized she had me hook, line, and sinker, it was already too late. I began to fall at an almost picturesque manner.
ケイちゃん、避けて。
Kei-chan, watch out! Instinctively, reacting to Mion's shrill warning, I twisted my body in midair before I landed on the floor.
いっててって。
An inkstone filled to the brim was placed right where I would have landed. I shuddered, imagining the situation had I landed square on it.
あらあら、これはこれは。
My, what do we have here?
おはようございます、ケイチさん。朝から賑やかですわね。
A fair morning to you, Keiichi-san. Aren't we lively this morning? Still sprawled in an awkward position, I was greeted by a mocking voice.
一段とスペシャルなトラップワークになったじゃないか、サトコ。
That was a step up from your usually trapped Satoko.
私何のことかわかりませんもの。
I haven't the faintest idea what you mean.
朝からついてませんわね。
You're quite unlucky this morning.
てめえ。あ、いっててててて。
You little... It seemed I had inadvertently sprained my back a little while I'd landed. I'm better than landing on that inkstone. A small hand gently rubbed my head.
ケイチの痛いの痛いの飛んでいけです。
Pain, go away. The small, dainty hand continued to gently stroke my head.
腰とかはくじかなかったですか？
You didn't sprain your back or anything, did you?
こうして撫でていれば痛いのは消えてきますです。
If you rub it like this, the pain disappears. I thought about asking how rubbing my head would help my back, but I didn't. It's not so much about what you actually do. It's the thought that counts.
ありがとな。リカちゃんのおかげで痛みが引いてきたぜ。
Yeah, thanks, Rika-chan. The pain's going away now.
リカちゃん、おはよ
Yay, Rika-chan, good morning.
う。レナにおはようございます。
Good morning to you, Reina.
みんなにもおはようございますです。
A good morning to all. Rika-chan greeted each of us with an adorable little bow. It was infectious. Reina, Mion, and I all bowed back.
リカちゃんはいい子だよな。
You're such a good kid, Rika-chan.
それに比べて
So
サ
much
トコ。
better than that Satoko. I glared over in her direction. Satoko was whistling while rather deliberately trying to avoid eye contact.
サトコはいい子でございますのことよ。
I am the very model of a good girl.
いい子はこんな凶悪な罠仕掛けないぞ。
A good girl wouldn't set those nasty traps.
言いがかりでございますわ。
Nothing but lies and slander.
何の証拠があって？
Exactly what proof? I picked up Satoko by the back of her collar. She looks like a misbehaved cat when I do this. But a cat wouldn't be setting traps. She's much harder to deal with.
ごめんなさいって言ってみな。
I'm sorry. Try saying that.
言わないなら。
If you won't say it. I crocked my index finger on my thumb, letting it tremble as I brought it closer to Satoko's forehead.
暴力反対ですの。
I'm
証拠も
against
ないのに。
violence. You don't even have any proof.
言っとくが俺のデコピンはすごく痛い。
Just so you know, my forehead flicks really hurts.
ベニヤくらいなら割る。
It can split plywood right in half.
やめて、寄らないでけだもの。
Stop! Get away from me, you beast!
人様が聞いたら誤解するような言い方をするんじゃねえ。
Don't say that in a way people will misunderstand. A small hand tugged at the back of my shirt.
圭一が2日間もお休みしたから寂しかったのです。
She's been lonely since you were gone for 2 days. Rika-chan really is just so. How could I do anything more after being told that? I gently released my grip on Satoko, who at this point was on the verge of tears. She still had her eyes clamped shut as she braced herself for the forehead flick.
悔しくなんかないもん。
It doesn't bother me.
泣いちゃダメです、さとこ。
You mustn't cry, Satoko.
ないと
Keep
思
on
うんです。
Keep on fighting, yeah. Rika gently petted the head of her prankster friend. You would never guess those two are the same age. I think Satoko could learn a thing or a million from Rika-chan.
今度はもっとすごい罠を仕掛けなさいですよ。
Next time, an even more amazing trap. Wait a minute. As she observed the scene, Reina's expression grew ecstatic as she began to swoon.
さとこちゃん泣いている。
Oh, Satoko-chan is crying.
かわいいよ。
It's so cute.
持ち帰っちゃダメだからね。
You can't take them home.
だってこんなにかわいいよ。
Ooh, but they're so cute.
どんなに可愛くてもダメなの。
You can't, no matter how cute they are.
でもちょっとくらいなら。
But
ダメ
just
か
for
な
a bit
ダメかな。
is fine. Is fine. Reina kept a cutesy face, even as outrageous ideas spewed from your mouth. According to Mion, Reina is ridiculously weak to cute things and always tries to take them home. Object or person.
物もまずいが誘拐はもっとまずいぞ。
See, this is why Reina is the best. Stealing is bad, but adopting people is even worse.
諦めろ。
Give it up.
じゃあ見てるだけだよ。
Then I can look. Just looking.
それならいいよね。よね。
That should be fine, right? Right? Reina swooned over Satoko's crying form. If a girl ever goes missing in Hinamizawa, I'll be forced to turn Reina into the authorities. Forgive me, Reina. I'll be sure to bring you care packages when they put you away.
先生来たよ。
The teacher's coming.
早く片付ける。
Quickly, clean everything up.
さとこ、すずりあんたのでしょ。
Satoko, that inkstone is yours, right? Just from Mion's single statement, the entire mood of the room shifted back to normal. The inkstone was bad, but the thumbtacks stuck to the door handle were an even bigger problem. I pulled the tape off carefully, making sure not to skewer myself. Even though Satoko was the one who set it up, everyone had to pick up after her. By the time the teacher entered the room, the bedlam from before had been neatly tied up.
間に合ったね。
We made it in time.
起立。気をつけ。
Rise! Attention! Mion gave out the morning commands. It's difficult being the teacher for all these different grades in one classroom. She has to teach something different to each one. But naturally, she ends up spending all her time with the younger kids. Reina and Mion, being the highest grade in the class, ended up mostly doing self-study. They even end up helping teach the younger kids, so it seems like they can never get to their own studies. They're actually way behind where my studies have progressed to. As a result, I'm pretty much taking over for the teacher and helping Reina and Mion with their studies.
ケイチくんはお勉強教えるのうまいね。
You're a pretty good teacher, Keiichi-kun.
わかりやすいよ。
Easy to understand. Reina took a breather after finishing highlighting an important section.
教える端から自信がなくなるよ。
Teaching is making me lose confidence.
自分の理解の浅さがわかるな。
It makes me aware of how shallow my understanding of the subject is.
人に教えるには3倍理解してなければならないって言うしね。
They say that to teach someone something, you need to understand it backwards and forwards.
ケイちゃんもうちらに教えながら同時に復習もできてるわけなんだよ。
So while you're teaching us, you're getting in your own practice. In contrast, this person over here was quite the laissez-faire about things. For one, isn't she supposed to be in a higher grade than
ミ
me?
ヨンさ、一言じゃないぞ。
Look, Mion, this is for
真
your
剣
own
にやんな
good.
いとまずいぜ。こんなレベルじゃ。
If you don't take this seriously, there'll be trouble later on. With these marks,
別に進学校を目指すわけでもないし、
it's not like I'm aiming to get into a prestigious school.
受験に必要なそこそこができてりゃ十分十分。
I'll be fine as long as I pick up what I need to know for the entrance exams a little at a time. Her staunch defiance was really something else. This was a different type of relaxed than somebody who already knew what was going to be on the entrance exams. Isn't that cheating?
みーちゃん、ケイチくんが頑張って教えてくれるんだからさ。
Mii-chan, Keiichi-kun is doing his best to teach us.
私たちも頑張ろうよ。
We need to try hard
レ
too.
ナは素直ないい子だな。
You're such a good and honest kid, Reina.
先生がきっといい学校に進学させてやるからな。
I'll make sure you guys get accepted into a good school.
ありがとう。
Thanks so much.
レナには特に教えてやるからな。
Especially you, Reina.
二人きりでプライベートレッスンだぞ。
Private lessons, just the two of us.
プライベートレッスン。
Private lessons? A puff of smoke shaped like a halo popped out of Reina's head. Exactly what kind of private lessons is she fantasizing about that's making her turn so red? I'd like to hear the play-by-play of that next time. While Mian was flipping through her vocabulary flashcards, she threw out a casual question.
都会じゃさ、こんなに勉強しなきゃいけないわけ？
So, in the city, do you have to study this much?
この程度はできないと進学できないね。
If you don't know at least this much, you can't get into university.
進学できないから勉強するわけ？
So you study just to get into
Ma.
university? Well,
平たく言えばそうなるな。
yeah, basically.
将来役に立たないのは承知で。
Well, knowing that this stuff won't ever come in handy in the future. Keiichi do be spitting facts, though.
こっちじゃあさ、出席日数が足りてりゃみんな進学できるんだよ。
Out here, you can get into university as long as your attendance is good enough.
そうなのか？
Really? Study equals entrance exams. Having that basic law of the universe so easily overturned sent me into a state of shock.
そうかもね。
That is right.
試験で振り落とさなきゃならないほど人もいないし。
There aren't really enough people around here to warrant weeding them out with an exam.
誰でも進学できるならさ、そんなにガリガリとやることもないんじゃない？
If anyone can get into university, then there's no need to be all uptight about this stuff, right?
まあそうだけど、でも一般常識程度にはできた方が。
Well, that's true, but you should at least know stuff that's common knowledge.
おじさんはそんな無駄な勉強に時間をかけるよりさ、
This old geezers think that instead of wasting time studying pointlessly,
この思春期の貴重な時
you
間
should
を
be
もっ
spending your
と有
precious
意義に過
senior
ごす
is
ために
doing
使
more
うべきじゃない
meaningful
かなって
things.
考えるわけよ。
It was too profound of a statement to simply laugh off. When since it was Mion, it probably didn't actually have that deep of a meaning. In place of a chime, the sound of the principal waving a handbell drifted through the classroom.
ケイちゃん、おしまいおしまい。
Kei-chan, we're done. We're done.
さあ、楽しいラン
It's
チ
our
タイム。
wonderful lunchtime. In a complete 180 from her unmotivated state, Mion gave the commands that signaled the end of the mourning period.
ケイチくん、お昼にしよう。
Keiichi-kun, let's have lunch. I may have been making a very troubled face. Reina smiled brightly at me.
よっしゃ
Alright,
飯にするか
let's eat. There seemed to be different cliques even within the class. Most of them were divided up by gender and age, but our group was different. Our ages were different and we had both boys and girls, but we weren't reserved around each other. This level of openness makes a transfer student like me pretty happy. Reina and Mion pushed their decks together so they were facing each other. At the same time, Satoko and Rika-chan were slowly looking their desks over as well.
ケイチくん、早く早く。
Keiichi-kun, hurry, hurry! Reina waved her chopsticks in an unrefined manner, trying to hurry me along. Unless everyone was together, they wouldn't even open their lunchboxes.
ケイチさんのお弁当は耳ちく日の丸弁当に決まってますわ。
Keiichi-san's lunchbox is most assuredly a plain, misery rice and seaweed.
さあ、恥ずかしがらずにお見せなさいな。
Why don't you just show it to us? Come now. Even though Satoko was hurling insults at me, she still wouldn't open the lid to her lunchbox until I was there. I pulled out my lunchbox swiftly and dragged my chair over to join the circle.
おう、お待たせ
Hey, sorry to keep you waiting.
では、ミー委員長の号令でいただきますです。
Well then, Representative Me, please give your signal to start. At first, this was kind of embarrassing, but I got used to it pretty fast. At this point, I probably wouldn't even open my own lunchbox if someone else was too slow. Our ages and genders may have all been different, but we were all friends.
いただきます。
The sound of our little 5-part chorus echoed beautifully throughout the classroom. Really, though, I've gotten pretty used to this group made up of all girls. Of course, there were other boys in the class, but they were a lot younger, so they were scared to approach me. Well, that's to be expected. Younger boys just see older boys as scary. Compare that to girls, well, at least these girls aren't picky. We put all the side dishes in the middle where everyone was free to pick at them. I thought girls would mind sharing a meal with the guy, so I was a bit flustered joining in. However, Mio noticed that and teased me quite a bit. As the fruit of my efforts, I can now reach over and take sides from anybody's lunch.
あらあら、ケイチさんのお弁当は今日は大奮発ではございませんこと？
My, isn't Sir Keiichi's lunch extravagant today?
あらあら、さとこさんのお弁当こそ大奮発ですこと。
My, isn't Madame Satoko's lunch extravagant as well?
煮物がしっくていい感じですわ。
The stewed stuff has a nice look to it, rather trendy. Buying into the fight that Satoko was starting, our chopsticks locked in a cross canter, stabbing into each other's lunches.
あら、ビビ
My, how delicious.
お、里芋がいい感じだぞ。
Oh, this taro was good.
煮物は冷めててもうまいよな。
The stewed stuff is good too, even cold. After seeing my happy face, Rika-chan's expression broke into a little smile.
夕べの夕食の煮物少し取っておきましたですよ。
I saved some from dinner last night. By the way, Satoko and Rika-chan's lunches were always the same. It seems that Rika-chan makes it for both of them every
こ
day.
の煮物もリカちゃんが作ったのかい？
Rika-chan made this too.
こいつはお袋の味クラスだよな。
These taste like mom's home cooking. I was honestly impressed. The carrot rosettes weren't from a mold. They were done by hand with a knife. That's not easy to do.
リカちゃんって何気にそういうの得意なんだよな。
I guess Rika-chan's this good at this sort of thing.
おさ い法とかお洗濯とかも上手なの。
She's really good at sewing, laundry, and stuff like that.
すごいよね。
Amazing, right?
すっごいよね。
Amazing.
リカはいろいろとすんごいんですのよ。
Rika is quite exceptional in many ways.
お前が威張ることじゃね
That's nothing for you to boast about.
僕よりレナの方がお料理は上手です。
Reina's actually better at cooking than I am.
そのね。
Well, you know. It seemed that the topic of conversation switched to Reina when she wasn't expecting it, making her blush and trip over her words. Reina's lunch really was the star of the table. Not only did it look good, it tasted good. Everyone else pulled from Reina's lunchbox constantly.
これ前に評判良かったからいっぱい作ってみたの。
Everyone liked this one so much before, so I made a lot this time.
美味しいかな？
It's good, I hope. I hope?
かなり合格点。あ、ミオン、お前取りすぎだよ。
It's got high marks for me. Mion, you're taking too much. Knocking Mion's chopsticks aside, I reached out, trying to secure my own portion. Satoko and Rika-chan reached over at the same time and a struggle ensued. Everyone shoveling in a mouthful after mouthful while praising it, and Reina's lunchbox was soon empty. It was kind of bad that no one thought to leave any for Reina, but Reina seemed rather satisfied as she looked on.
いかがかしら。レナさんもとてもお料理が上手ですことよ。
How did you like it? Isn't Reina-san an extremely good cook too?
ケイイチさんとは大違いですの。
Quite different from Keiichi-san.
だからお前が威張ることじゃねえだろ。
I said that's nothing for you to boast about.
さとこだってケイちゃんと変わらないじゃんよ。
You're not much different from Kei-chan, Satoko.
あんたブロッコリーとカリフラワーの
Can you tell the
つく
difference
ように
between
なったわけ。
broccoli and cauliflower yet? Satoko's face went pale.
おいおい、ブロッコリーとカリフラワーの違いなら俺だってわかるぜ。
Even I can tell the difference between broccoli and cauliflower, you know?
わかりますもの。わかるもん。
Of course I can. I really can. It's really hard for her to lie.
ケイイチくん、どっちでも茹でてマヨネーズかけると美味しいじゃない？
Keiichi-kun, both taste good when they're boiled and topped with mayo, right?
いじめちゃかわいそうだよ。みーちゃんも。
You shouldn't be picking on her. Mi-chan too. Reina hurriedly tried to follow up, but Mion laughed haughtily as she drew closer to Satoko.
まあまあ家庭科の授業ってことで。じゃあさとこ、これは？
Well, let's just pretend it's a little home ec lesson. Now then, Satoko, what's this? Mion lifted up her chopsticks. Between them was a piece of green stuff wrapped in bacon.
でもそれアスパラ。
But that's asparagus. Mion made eye contact with me, and within 0.3 seconds, I had Rika-chan's mouth covered. Holding a piece of bacon-wrapped asparagus and giving her two choices, she's pretty terrible.
その黄色がカリフラワー、緑がカリフラ。
Well, the yellow one is cauliflower. No, wait, the green one is cauliflower.
さあどっちだ？
So which?
多分黄色がブロッコリーで青がカリフラワー。でも緑はその。
Probably. The yellow one is broccoli and the blue one is cauliflower. But the green one is,
本当にどっちかわかってる？降参した方が良くない？
Do you really know which is which? How about you just give up? I'd expect no less from the class representative, the oldest. The way she drives people into a corner just shows how much experience she has. This is just a hunch, but being brought into the Sonozaki household must be quite the ordeal.
わかりますもの。
I do know.
わかるもん。
I really do.
じゃあ答えなよ。
Then answer the question.
わかるもん。わかるもん。
She finally broke down and started crying. When she acts like this, she actually starts to seem her age.
かいよ。
How cute! Reina entered a stage of euphoria. Sadako bawled her eyes out. Reina was in a state of bliss as she rubbed her cheek against Satoko's head and smothered her. Really, a very content face. One that wouldn't care if the world ended right now. It was that kind of smile.
レナ、ミオさんがいじめるんですの。
Reina, Mimi is picking on me.
かいかい。
Cute.
大丈夫だよ。レナお姉ちゃんが悪い人たちはやっつけちゃうからね。
It's okay. Reina Oni-chan will take care of all those bad people who tease my little sister. Swish, boom, bam. It was like a flash of lightning.
今一体何が
Was that just now? Both of Reina's fists shot out at supersonic speed, striking Mion and me squarely in our faces. Before we knew it, Mion and I were spread eagle on the floor, staring up at the ceiling with matching welts on our faces.
ケイちゃんは食らうの初めてだよね。
This is the first time you've gotten one right.
今日のはまだ甘い方。
Today, she went easy on us.
甘いってこれよりまだ上があるってのかよ。
Easy? You mean there's something harder than this? With that, Mion and I slumped our heads back on the floor in unison. From now on, I'll be careful when I'm within striking distance of Reina.
ほらさとこちゃん、やっつけちゃったよ。
See, Satoko-chan, I took care of them.
かわいい。
Cute.
お持ち帰りしたい。
I want to take you home. Making sure Reina couldn't see, Satoko stuck her tongue out at us. Damn it all, using Reina like a puppet. Rika-chan massaged our bruises without saying a word. No matter what the day had held, the last school bell always came too soon. Our shadows stretched off into the distance.
ねえケイチくん、明日はさ、何か予定とかあるかな？
Hey,
Kana.
Keiichi-kun, tomorrow, do you have plans or anything?
Eh?
Huh? It was such a direct question from Reina, I inadvertently blushed. If it was for a date, then wouldn't you do it more subtly? Reina saw me, lost her words and realized that I had misunderstood, and turned bright red as well.
違うの。そういうのじゃなくて、その。
No, I didn't mean it like that, you see? So apparently that wasn't what she meant. But since it's always fun when Reina's in a panic, I went along with it a little.
なんだそういうのじゃないのかよ。
Oh really? So it wasn't meant that way. Huh? Playing it up, I slumped my shoulders, feigning dejection.
ケイチくん、なんでがっかりしてるんだろう、太郎。
Keiichi-kun, why are you so disappointed? Why?
みーちゃん。
Me-chan! Unable to hold it in any longer, Mion slapped me on the back.
そっか、そういう攻め方はおじさん知らなかったわ。
I see. This old geezer never knew you could push her buttons like that.
何なの？
What is it? Damn, hold on. Mion was rolled up on the floor, clutching her stomach while Reina flailed around, completely bewildered. I couldn't help but start laughing as well, feeling just a bit guilty. I ruffled Reina's hair.
嘘、ごめん、冗談。悪かったよ。
Kidding. Sorry, it was a joke. That was my fault. She really is a cute one.
冗談ってどこからだろう？どこからだろう？
A joke? Since when? Since when?
あ、途中から。
About halfway through.
途中か
Halfway?
らってことはケイちゃん、最初の真っ赤になったのはあれ演技じゃないんだ。
So Kei-chan, that means you weren't acting when you blushed at the start?
それって。
That means? That was only a momentary lapse, but there was no way Mion could let such a delectable detail slip by her.
いや、その。
Oh, well, you see, saying anything more was also a bad idea. In my bewildered state, I slipped further into an unfavorable position. Keep on hitting my scroll wheel. After that, Mion continued to tease me about it for a while.
で、明日が暇だと何なんだよ、レナ。
So why were you asking me if I'm free tomorrow, Reina?
何の話だっけ？
Oh, what were we talking about? It had been so long that Reina had forgotten. That's how long Mion had teased me.
ケイちゃんさ、まだこのひなみ沢一人じゃ回れないでしょ？
It's just, Kei-chan, you probably can't find your way around Hinamizama by yourself yet, can you? That was true. I hate to say it, but if you blindfolded me and spun me around 3 times like we're playing pin the tail on the donkey, I wouldn't be able to tell up from down here.
そうだな。街へ行くのと学校へ行く以外はまだ自信ないな。
Yeah, I don't think I know how to get anywhere besides looking back and forth from school.
そうそう。それでね、明日ね、みーちゃんとレナでお散歩しながら、ケイチくんにひなみ沢を案内してあげようよってことになって。
Yes, so you see, tomorrow, we were thinking that Michan and I could escort you through Hinamizawa to show you around. That would be a godsend. Frankly, I was happy about the offer.
もちろん行くでしょ？
You'll come, of course, right?
暇ならな。
If I'm free.
女の子が誘ってんじゃん。
You're being invited by a girl, you know.
暇ならな。
If I'm free.
どうせ暇なんでしょ？
You're probably free anyways.
暇ならな。
If I'm free. I was being stubborn so as to not give a clear yes or no. Even though I thought it was a godsend, I'm too much of a scamp to say it so up front.
ケイチくん、暇じゃないのかな？この。
Keiichi-kun, you're not free perhaps? Perhaps? Well, Mion and I had a rather sour back and forth. Reina peeked over at me hesitantly. Figuring I'd been a bit too rough on her, I just gave in.
すまん、許せ、ごめん。
Sorry, forgive me. I apologize.
暇だ。
I'm free.
よかった。
Great. The trepidation disappeared from Reina's face as it blossomed into a smile.
おうおう。
Hey now, hey now.
ミオンさんとレナさんじゃ随分と温度差がありますじゃん。
Seems like there's quite a difference between how cold you are compared to me. You are to me compared to Reina, isn't there? It seems Mion didn't care for how rude I was to her, compared to how quickly I agreed with Reina. But her being annoyed was very interesting. So I pushed Reina forward, speeding up our pace to leave Mion behind.
行こうレナ。
Let's go, Reina.
明日は二人っきりで出かけような。
Maybe
嫌味なミオンは置いてって。
maybe it should just be the two of us tomorrow. Leave grumpy old Mion behind.
ケイチくんがそれでいいなら。
Well, if Keiichi-kun is okay with that, then...
案内しようって提案したのは私。シカトすんな前原圭一。
I'm the one who came up with the idea to take him around. Don't ignore me, Keiichi Maibara.
二人きりでピクニック嬉しいな。弁当は持ってくかレナ。
It'd be great if the two of us could go on a picnic together. Should we bring a basket, Reina?
お弁当いるならレナ作っちゃおうかな。
If we're bringing a basket, I'll make all the food, maybe.
レーナもシカトすんな。二人がラブラブだって村中に回覧板を。
Don't you ignore me too, Reina. I'll put out a village-wide circular saying that you two disappeared into the hotel district together.
じゃあレナ今日は早く帰
What
って
happened to
お
me?
弁当の準備するね。
Well then, I'm going home right now to start making it.
明日が楽しみ。じゃあねケイチくんにみーちゃんさようなら。
Tomorrow is going to be so fun. Later, Keiichi-kun, Mi-chan. Bye. Reina bounded off like she was walking on the moon. After the dust settled, all that was left was me standing next to Mion sprawled out on the ground. There was a welt on her face.
大丈夫か？
Are you alright?
ミオンとレナの立ち位置
There's over 2
2メー
meters
トルは離
between
れて
you
たはずだ
guys.
ぞ。
あんたが来て以来切れ味は増す一方。
Since you came, they've become sharper.
おじさん身が持たないわ。
This old geezer's body can't handle it. Maybe it'd be easier if you stopped saying stuff that makes Reina want to hit you. Or else this will end up being Mion's slapstick comedy hour. If that happened, the results might be fatal.
くじけるなよミオン。レナのジャブを見切れるのはお前しかいない。
Don't feel bad, Mion. You're probably the only one who can dodge her jabs.
私は膝じゃないかと思ってんだけど
It
ね。
felt like it was her knee, though. Could it be that we were hanging out around an unrivaled martial arts master? Maybe someday we'll see her debut in an extreme contact sport.
レナには負けられないぞ。ミオンも鍛えてリベンジだ。
You can't lose to Reina. You need to train up and have a rematch.
ケイちゃんがしてよ。おじさん
Keiichi,
は応援してる。
you should. This old geezer will root for you. Mion and I reaffirmed our determination to discover a way to counter Reina's infallible technique. And that's the end of the first part. Now for the tips.
レナってさ、俺と同い年だったよな。
So, Reina, we're the same age?
うんそうだよ。
Yes, that's right.
干支も同じだよね。
We're the same zodiac animal, too. Hey now, it'd be weird if we were the same age, but not the same zodiac animal.
そんなことないよ。誕生日の違いがあれば年齢が同じでも干支が違うこともありえるって。
That's not true. If If your birthday isn't the same, then you can have the same animals even if you're the same age.
あれあ、そうか。
Oh, I see.
ミオン、頭いいじゃないか。
Mion, you're pretty smart.
ところでケイチ君は何月生まれなのかな？
What month were you born into, by the way, Keiichi-kun?
レナは7月なんだよ。
I'm July. Reina smirked and puffed up with pride. Hey now, what's the meaning of this? She's not planning to be all high and mighty if her birthday is a wee bit sooner than mine, is she?
だが諦めろ。
Don't even.
俺に誕生日で挑もうったって
It's impossible
無駄な
to
ことだ。
tell by birthday.
なんならどっちが年上か罰ゲーム付きで勝負してもいいぜ。
I wouldn't even mind if you bet $1 per month. Huh?
なんでだろう？
Why?
なんでだろう？
Why? Reina panicked at suddenly being challenged to a wager. Given how panicked she is, I am certain she doesn't have much allowance left this month. It's just sending her into a panic about something as simple as a birthday is so fun I can't help myself.
ってことはケイちゃん、ひょっとして4月生まれ？
So that means you were born in April, Kei-chan?
そういうこったな。
Right
残念
on.
だな、レナ。
Right on. Too bad, Reina.
俺、もうとっくにレナより年上なんだよ。
Marty, far older than Reina.
へえ、そうなんだ。
Oh, I see.
じゃあみーちゃんと同い年なんだ
Then
ね。
you're the same age as me-chan.
まあほんの何ヶ月かはね。すぐにまた差を開いてあげるけどさ。
Well, it's just a few months. That gap will open up again soon enough. That makes no sense. Mio snickered through her nose. Hey now, that's not something to get all high and mighty about. As if I'm the one to talk.
そういえば、ミオンって上級生なんだよな。
Now that you mention it, you're in a higher grade, right, Mion?
下級生の方が燃えるってんなら、今日から下級生ってことでもいいけど。
If you're into underclassmen, then I can be an underclassman from now on.
みーちゃん、よくわかんないこと言ってる。
Mi-chan, you're not making any sense to me. Just by seeing Reina's blushing face, you could tell she knew exactly what she meant by it, though.
で、サトコとリカちゃんが下級生と。どころか、学校が違うくらいの下級生だよな。
Then Satoko and Rika-chan are underclassmen. Their grade is so different that they should be in a different school, shouldn't they?
ケイチ君はちょっと好みの年齢が低すぎると思うな。
Keiichi-kun, your tastes are a bit too young, I think. You're not making any sense yourself, Reina. I'll just grab onto her head and scruff it up a bit.
やめて
Oh, stop it!
前から思ってたんだけどさ、なんでこの学校ってクラスが学年混在なんだ？
I wondered about it before, yeah. I was wondering why the school has different school years all mixed up.
教室の数が足りないからだよ。仕方ないじゃん。
There aren't enough classrooms. Can't help it.
営林署の建物を間借りしてんだからさ。
This being is being rented from the forestry services, after all. Once he says it like that, it makes sense. I thought our school was strange for a while now. The schoolyard is gravel. There are rooms that aren't for classes, and there are some strange sort of construction machinery parked there.
なんで借りてるんだよ。本当の学校はどうしちゃったんだよ。
Why is it being borrowed? What happened to all the real schools?
戦前からずーっと建ってたらしいからね。老朽化でね。
There was one here forever before the war. It got dilapidated.
廃校ってわけよ。
They closed it down. It was probably a grand old schoolhouse.
まあそれで生徒は町の学校に通うことになったんだけどさ。遠いでしょ？
Well, because of that, the students would have to attend the school in the city. That's pretty far though, you know?
どこの学校だったの？
Which school would that be?
沖宮の駅前通りを抜けて病院に曲がって小児科の向かいに学校あるのわかる？
Did you know there's a school if you pass by the Okinomiya train station, turn at the hospital, and head towards the pediatrics department?
遠いよ。
It's so far. I couldn't tell where that was by the location, but I understood it was pretty far from Reina's reaction.
まあそんなわけでさ、
Well, that's why.
沖宮の学校に通いたくない連中はこうして営林署の建物を間借りした仮校舎に通ってるってわけさ。
The guys that didn't want to commute to Okinomiya rented out the building from the forestry services and are attending the pseudo school house here.
ひなみ沢の子供の半分くらいかな。朝早くに自転車で通ってる子たちも結構いるよ。
About half the children in Hinamizawa go here. There are quite a lot of kids that come here on bike.
まあこんなはちゃめちゃな学校に通ってたら進学校とかはちょっと無理だろうからね。
Well, since they're attending this really messed up school, it might be pretty hard for them to get into higher education.
そんなことないよ、みーちゃん。ちゃんと頑張ればどこでだってお勉強はできるよ。
That's not true, Mi-chan. If you study properly, you can go anywhere you want.
お、そうだぞそうだぞ。レナとは意見が一致したな。
Yeah, that's right, that's right. I totally agree with Reina on this one.
そうだね、そうだね。
Yes, that's right, that's right.
頑張ろう。
Let's try our best.
せいぜい頑張ってくださいな。おじさんはささやかに応援しとりますわ。
All of you, try your best. This old man will be rooting for you.
俺たちがじゃないぞ。ミオンガだぞ。お前受験生だろ。
Not just us, you too. You should be preparing for exams, shouldn't you?
こんな成績じゃお先真っ暗だぞ。
Your future is bleak with grades like this.
いいもんいいもん。路頭に迷ったら永久就職してケイちゃんに食わせてもらうから。
Fine, just fine. If I get stuck, then I'll just mooch off Kei-chan as he works forever.
永久就職ってなんだろう、なんだろう。
What do you mean, mooch off Kei-chan? What do you mean?
ほらそこ、うるさいですよ。
Hey, you're too loud.
自習は静かに。
Be quiet during self-study. The teacher yelled at all three of us. It was completely our fault. Satoko saw it and chortled haughtily. I stuck out my tongue at her in response. It's just as Mion says, the school has nothing to do with higher education. But it makes up for that by having lots of valuable things other schools don't. Tip 2. Why don't we have a uniform? It's only June, but it's already so hot. I could hear the Higurashi outside chirping, me, me, and at night there are mosquitoes. It might as well be summer already. My only salvation was that the mornings were still cool.
暑いでございますわね。
Summer, I do declare. Satoko was flapping her skirt languidly. It's pretty unladylike there. And even if she was a little brat, she still was a girl.
ケイチさんはワイシャツ一枚で涼しそうですわね。羨ましいですわ。
Keiichi does seem quite cool with just a single button-up shirt. I'm so jealous.
俺から見りゃスカートのサトコの方が涼しそうだよ。この時期のズボンがどれだけ暑いか女のお前にはわかるまい。
From how I see things, the skirt you're wearing looks like it would be much cooler. A girl you like just wouldn't understand, wearing jeans during this season and how steamy the crotch gets.
暑いって、
It gets steamy. How? This girl has gone imagining things, something indecent.
レナの夏服は涼しそうな色合いがいいよな。 見てるこっちも涼しくなる。
Reina's summer clothes have a nice refreshing color. I feel cooler just looking at them.
ありがとう。
Thank you.
本当に涼しいんだよ。
They really do feel pretty cool.
私もレナさんみたいな涼しい夏服が良かったですわね。
I do wish my summer clothes were as breezy as Reina's.
でもさとこちゃんの夏服ワンピースですっごい可愛いし、レナはさとこちゃんの夏服着てみたいな。
But Satoko-chan, your summer clothes are so cute, being a one piece and all. I'd like to wear your summer clothes.
これ結構蒸しますわよ。絶対にレナさんの方が涼しいですわ。
This is actually quite stuffy, you know. I do believe what you're wearing would feel much cooler.
でも可愛い服の方がきっと楽しいよ。はう。
But it would be so much more fun with cute clothes. How? I had a feeling that Reina and Satoko's base values were fundamentally different.
そういえばこの学校って指定の制服とかないんだよな。
Speaking of which, our school doesn't have a uniform.
ないよ。
Yeah, it doesn't.
ふさわしい服であれば私服でも大丈夫なんだよ。
As long as they're proper, then regular clothes are fine. There are quite a few students in regular clothes. There were a few wearing uniforms, but they were all the same design and rather plain.
他の連中が着てる制服は何なんだよ。みんなお揃いだよな。
What's the uniform they're all wearing? They're all the same.
あれは町の学校の制服なんですのよ。別に決まってるわけじゃないですけど、みんな着てますわね。
That's the city school uniform. It's not like there's a rule, but they're all wearing them.
そこへ行くと俺らの仲間はみんないろいろな制服を着てるよな。わざわざどこかから取り寄せたのか？
Speaking of which, everybody in our group was wearing a different uniform, aren't we? Did you go out of your way to get them from somewhere?
ええ、ミオンさんが調達してくださいますの。
Why, yes. Mion-chan supplied them.
みーちゃんの親類で古着商をやってる人がいて、全国の学校の服を格安で仕入れてるんだって。
Mi-chan's relative runs a second-hand clothing store. They can get school clothes from all over the country for cheap, they say.
でその親類に頼んでいろいろ個性的な制服を取り寄せてもらってるわけか。
So you asked those relatives to get a bunch of unique school uniforms, then? That Mion, she probably loves using her friends as dress-up dolls. That must be a strange second-hand clothing store. I get that it's a second-hand clothing store, but stocking clothes from schools all over the country? That's pretty strange for a second-hand clothing store. What's the point in stocking up clothes from faraway schools they know nothing about?
それはレナも思うよ。他にも体操服とかスクール水着のお風呂とかも扱ってるの。
Yeah, I think so too. They also have used school swimsuits and PE uniforms.
そういうののお風呂はちょっと嫌だよね。
I don't like the idea of having used ones.
あんまり儲かってなさそうな商売だな。きっと少しでも儲けさせるためにミオンが一肌脱いでやってるんだろうな。
That doesn't sound like that shop makes much money. They probably have Mion pitch in and help so they can make a bit more.
でもいつもミオンさんが自信満々に言いますのよ。今にきっと大ブレイクしてすごい商売になるって。
But Mion-san says it'll be a big hit and become a great store with such conviction. A second-hand clothing store that stocks school uniforms will be a big hit? I don't get it. It's goodwill. Save. I'll rewrite my saves. That's the end of chapter 1. I took it a little too easy on the morning of my day off. I was totally late. And to top it off, that pesky mom of mine pushing a return journey errand on me just as I'm trying to leave the house. Today was the day Reina and Mion were going to show me around Hinamizawa. Reina and Mion were already waiting at the meeting place.
ケイちゃん遅いぞ。
Kei-chan, you're late.
悪い悪い。責めるのは昨夜の面白かった特番に行ってくれ。
Sorry. The show I was watching last night was really interesting. Blame that.
ほう。女の子との待ち合わせに遅刻して言い訳がそれってわけ？
Oh, so that's your excuse for being late and keeping two girls waiting?
みーちゃんだって今来たばかりなんだよ。
Damn, Reina. Mi-chan, you just got here yourself.
昨夜の密着24時間面白かったしねえ。
Last night's episode of A Day in the Life of was interesting, wasn't it? She was just as guilty as me. Reina was carrying a pretty heavy-looking handbag. What is that? Mion answered my unspoken question with a wink. That's right. Reina really did make a picnic.
ケイちゃん、あの後レナ
Kei-chan, after you left,
大張り切りだったらしいよ。
Reina pulled out all the stops.
別に俺がけしかけたわけじゃないだろ
It's not like I forced her to do it.
そんな大変じゃなかったから気にしないでよ。
It was nothing, so don't worry about it, okay?
昨夜から今朝まであのテンションらしいよ。
She's been like this since last night, you know.
責任取れんの？
Can you take responsibility for this?
わかった。俺も男だ。責任は取る。
Alright. I am a man after all. I'll take responsibility.
責任ってなんだろう。
Responsibility? For what? For what? As we both turned around slowly to look at Reina, our gazes drifted downwards to that massive handbag she was carrying. It didn't seem logically feasible that it would be entirely filled with lunchboxes. Except this was Reina we were talking about here.
2キロくらいかな。
About 2 kilos, I guess?
レナね、荷物持つときよっこらしょって言ってた。
When Reina was picking it up, I could see he was struggling a bit.
5キロ。
I say 5.
それはオーバー。
You're exaggerating.
ケイチくん男の子だから
Keiichi-kun is a boy after all.
きっといっぱい食べるだろうと思ってたくさんね。
I thought he could probably eat a lot, so I made a lot, okay?
もう行こう。よっこらよっこ。
Let's get going. Heave ho. Just from the way she was lifting it up, I couldn't believe the only things in there were lunchboxes.
訂正。俺も5キロ。
Correction. I say 5 kilos too.
手伝いはするけど全部食べるんだからね。
I'll help out. But all of it needs to be eaten.
レナを悲しませたら許さないよ。
I won't forgive you if you make Reina sad. Got it? The only thing I could do at that moment was exercise a bit to make myself hungrier. Having finished with the pleasantries, we began our leisurely stroll. A carefree walk, bathed in the gentle morning sunlight. I couldn't even have imagined that something so wholesome existed during my life in the city. These were the boonies after all. No slovenly desk jockeys trudging to work on the weekends out here. It really was a nice place, peaceful and quiet. As sparsely populated as the village was, you could still run into people just by walking around.
あ、こんにちは。
Good day.
こんにちは。
Good day.
あら、そちらは
Oh,
確か前原くんだったかしら。
oh, you would be Maibaro-kun, I believe. My two companions exchanged greetings with everybody we ran across. All of these passerby even knew my name.
なんで俺ってこんなに有名人なんだ？
When did I become this famous? We passed 3 people, and when all 3 of them knew me, I started to feel a bit paranoid.
悲しいかな。
It's a bit sad to say.
ひなみ沢は人が少ないからね。みん
Everyone
な顔見知りなんだよね。
everyone knows everyone since there are so few people here in Hinamizawa.
つまりなんだ？
So that means
知らない顔が歩いてれば、それは自動的に新しく引っ越してきた前原さんってことになるわけか。
So that means when an unfamiliar face walks by, they automatically assume it's that Maibara fellow who just moved here?
うん、そういうことになるね。
Yeah, that's how it works out. It was a process of elimination you can only pull off in a place like this, but it was quite effective. From now on, I'd better make sure to maintain a good reputation. The day I'm discovered accidentally gawking at a dirty magazine in the bookstore, I can expect all the villagers labeling me as a lech by the next day. Hinamizama is not to be trifled with. That's not the end of this nightmare.
もちろんわかるよ。
Of course I know them.
最初に会ったのが薪の林店の竹蔵おじさん。
The first person we met was old man Takuzo from the Makino bike shop.
趣味は盆栽と尺八なんだよ。
His hobbies are bonsai and playing the flute.
次が乾物屋の次男の大輔くん。
Next we met the grocer's son, Daisuke-kun.
趣味は狙撃で、将来の夢は超永久スナイパーだとか。
His hobby is sharpshooting and he hopes to be an ace sniper in the future.
それで今の人は入江診療所の看護師のミオさん。
And the person we just met was Mio-san, the nurse from the clinic.
趣味は野鳥の観察と撮影だって。
Her hobbies are birdwatching and photography.
すれ違った全員の名前までわかるのかよ。
You know the names of everyone we passed by,
プロフィールまで。
and even their profiles. Seeing my surprise, Mion and Reina exchanged looks and burst into laughter.
まあね。
Well, yeah,
ここいらは都会みたいにご近所付き合いが希薄じゃないからね。
we're not like in the city where people hardly know their neighbors.
試しに聞いてみよう。
And let's try it out.
今ここにいる俺は誰だ？
You there, who am I?
前原圭一く
You're Keiichi Maibara.
ん。意地悪なこと言うけど、本当は優しいテレ屋さん。
You say some mean things, but you're actually a kind, shy person.
転校してきてようやく3週間。
It's been 3 weeks since you transferred here.
趣味は昼寝。
Your hobby is taking afternoon naps.
最近トランクス派に転向。
Well, it's kind of creepy, Mion. Lately, you switched over to wearing boxers,
したよね。
didn't you?
もういいもういい。
That's enough, that's enough.
トランクス。
Boxers?
それもいい。
Enough of that. Apparently, there is absolutely nothing you can keep hidden here. Hinamizawa is not a place to be trifled with.
これじゃあさ、俺のための案内ってより、俺のお披露目みたいだな。
This feels more like you guys are showing me off rather than showing me around.
そうだね。
That's right.
うちらさ、これだけ賑やかに練り歩いてたから
We're
ね。
parading around like this, after all.
みんな思うんじゃない？
It'll give everyone a chance to see for themselves
ケイちゃんもひなみ沢に馴染んでくれたんだって。
that Kei-chan is fitting right here in Hinamizawa.
ひなみ沢は過疎だから。
The population in Hinamizawa is shrinking,
村中みんなが新しい仲間を歓迎してくれてるの。
so the villagers welcome anybody who's new here. I thought about brushing it off with something to the effect of, "You're kidding me," but I held back. Had I ever greeted someone who'd just moved into the city like this before? Thinking about that made me believe that what they said wasn't a joke at all. We passed another person. Of course, we were called out to again the same way.
あら、こんにちは。
Oh my, good day.
仲良しそうでいいわね。
It's wonderful seeing you getting along.
藤島さんちのおばさんだよ。
This lady here is Fujishima-san.
こんにちは。
Good day.
あら、前原くん、両手に花でいいわね。
Oh my Bara-kun, how wonderful for you to have how wonderful for you having a lovely girl in each arm.
どう？
How are you?
生活はもう慣れた？
Getting used to life here? Instead of regurgitating a prepared response like I would have in the city, I responded with an emphatic nod. The old woman chuckled, voicing her appreciation of how energetic I was.
グッド。
Good. As I looked back over to Reina and Mion, they gave me a wink.
でね、
So, now then,
そろそろお昼にしないかな。
about
かな。
about time to have lunch, maybe. Maybe? Reina's brilliant smile signaled the approach of an event that both Mion and I were trying to forget. We both looked at each other.
俺も男だ。努力はする。
I'm a man. I'll do what I can.
だが量が多すぎる。
But it's just too much.
よし、ケイちゃん。ここはおじさんに任せなさい。
It's fine, Keiichi-kun. Leave it to this old man. Mion has never seemed as reliable as she does right now. I'd expect no less from the class
レ
representative.
ナ、どうせ食べるならさ、見晴らしのいいところで食べない？
Reina, if we're going to eat, we might as well go somewhere with a good view.
ああ、うん。
Ooh, yes.
それいい。賛成。
Ooh, yes, good idea. I agree. Reina nodded her head happily in response to Mion's proposal. Cresting the top of a stone stairway, the shrine drawn straight out of my imagination appeared before us, and I am going to be right back. Just a small break to use the restroom. I'm back. Cresting the top of a stone stairway, a shrine drawn straight out of my imagination appeared before us. It had worn down a bit through the years, but the fallen leaves had been swept up, giving it a tidy feeling.
ここはね、フルデ神社っていうの。
This year's the Furude Shrine.
多分見晴らしが一番いいところかな。
It's probably the place with the best view around.
ここの場所よく覚えといてね。
This place, be sure to remember it.
もうすぐここでお祭りがあるんだから。
On our next break, a festival will be held here.
へえ、祭りにしちゃちょっと早いシーズンだよな。
Ah, isn't it a bit too early in the season for a festival?
綿流しは夏祭りじゃなくてね、昔は冬の終わりを喜ぶお祭りだったらしいよ。
The Watanagashi isn't a summer festival. Long ago, it used to be a celebration of the end of winter. I was embarrassed for assuming that festivals had to be held in the summer.
さて、弁当を広げてと。
Now then, spread out the lunch boxes, and there. Various colored lunch boxes were placed one after the other on top of the plastic sheet. It sure did smell delicious. It was Reina's home cooking. It went without saying that it would be delicious. But is it even possible to finish all this? Hey, Mion, it'll take more than just a good view to get all this down, you know?
こんにちはです。
Good afternoon. It was Rika-chan and Satoko. Why are they here? Mion grinned over at me. I see. This was her secret plan. The power in numbers. You have my thanks, Mion. Following up when all the pieces are in place is my specialty.
騒がしいから来てみれば、これは何ですの？
We just had to come here since there was such a commotion. What is the meaning of this?
見りゃわかるだろ。
Take a look.
これからランチタイムだ。
It's time for lunch.
ビュッフェスタイルだ。
Buffet style.
レラの手作り弁当に舌鼓だ。
A handmade gourmet meal by Reina.
そんなの見ればわかるでございますわ。
I can see
ど
that
うして
much.
人様の庭でご座なんか広げてますの？
Why have you laid out a tarp on our property?
神社は公共の場所だぞ。勝手に独占するな。
The temple is public grounds, not yours.
圭一の言う通りですよ。
Keiichi is right.
みんなのお庭にしますです。
This is everyone's property.
やっぱりリカちゃんはいい子だな。
Wow, Rika-chan is such a good girl.
座りな、そこ。
Have a seat.
一緒に食べよ
Eat with us. After opening up a spot for Rika-chan, I promptly turned my back to Satoko.
ちょっとお待ちなさいな。
Hold on one second.
私はどこに座ればい
Where
いんで
is
すの？
my spot?
う。お前に座る場所はないし、食べる分もない。
No spot for you and nothing for you to eat.
大丈夫だよ。さとこちゃんの分もちゃんとあるから。
Don't worry, there's some for you too.
ない。サトコの分も俺がいただく。
None. I'll eat all of hers.
そんなことは許せませんの。リカ。
I will not allow that. Rika.
はい、お箸です。
Here, chopsticks. Both Satoko and I leapt at the boxes, having it out with each other.
いやはや、ケイちゃん乗せるのうまいわほんと。
Man, really. Kei-chan, you're really good at leading people on.
才能あるのかもしれない。
You might have a talent for this.
はい、お皿。みーちゃんもリカちゃんも。
Have a plate. One for me-chan and Rika-chan too. Reina whipped out a pair of chopsticks and paper plates.
僕たちも頑張らないとなくなってしまうです。
If we don't hurry, it'll all be eaten up.
そうだね。よし、
That's right. Okay,
参戦と行くかな。
shall we commence this battle?
いっぱい食べてね。ちゃんとみんなの分あるから。
There's enough for everyone. Reina said as she opened the thermos. Just then, I realized that this lunch was made under the assumption that 5 people would be eating. Didn't change how much there was, but the implication behind it was different.
そのハンバーグは渡しませんわ。
I will not allow you to have this hamburger.
肘は反則だろ、サトコ。
Using your elbow is against the rules, Satoko.
襟首をつかむのも反則でございます。
Grabbing the back of my collar is also against the rules. It was a tough battle, blocking her with full momentum and an elbow. In the opening move, Satoko appeared to have the upper hand, but the difference in our proficiency with chopsticks proved to be fatal and gave me the upper hand.
最後のミートボール。
Ah, the last meatball!
校長サトコ、破れたり。
Satoko Hojo has been bested. No. Satoko and I amiably began choking at the same time, falling backwards and spasming. Rika-chan patted me on the head to clear it, even though it was actually stuck in my throat. Seeing that made Reina blush and breathe heavily in excitement. It was almost like flowers were floating all around her. Miyun advised Reina to refrain from saying anything that could get her locked up. This is how our meals usually go. I'd do anything in my power, just so things could stay like this. The intense battle calmed, and finally everyone reached a point where they could begin talking. Receiving tea from the thermos, I let out a small
日
sigh.
本語ってやつはさ、どうしてこう味に対する賛辞が少ないんだろうな。
I do wonder why there are so few words in the Japanese to praise how something tastes.
食事中の団らんって考えがそもそも近代に入ってからだからじゃない？
Isn't it because the idea of togetherness during a meal didn't begin until a modern era?
昔の人は無言で食事を済ませたそうだし。
It seems that long ago, people ate in silence.
作る人もちょっぴり寂しかったろうね。
It must have made the people preparing the food a bit sad, don't you think?
きっと昔の人は食べるのに忙しくて味を褒める暇もなかったのですわ。
It's probably because the people back then were so busy eating that they didn't have time to compliment the flavor. That's just you.
でもね、美味しいの一言だけでも嬉しいよ。
But, you know, just hearing that it's good makes me happy.
苦労の甲斐があったかなって。
That my effort was worth it, I mean. She blushed a little as she said that.
美味しいです。
It was delicious. With absolute perfect timing, Rika-chan struck Reina directly with praise. She looked straight at her with an expression of bewitching innocence.
Huh?
Huh? After Reina uttered an unintelligible noise, a ring of smoke rose from her head with an audible poof.
リカちゃん、お持ち帰りじゃなくて。
Rika-chan, I'm going to take you home. No, I mean, thank you.
本当に美味しかったですよ。
It was really delicious. Reina flushed red with excitement, embracing Rika-chan and rubbing her cheek against her so hard you can almost hear it.
リカちゃんには褒めてもらったお礼に、じゃ
To reward Rika-chan for her praise, ta-da!
ーん、これをサービスね。
These are special. 2 apple rabbits. After sticking toothpicks into them, she thrust them toward Rika-chan. After Rika-chan accepted them, the mood suddenly shifted in a bizarre way.
なんだよ、サトコ。
What is it, Satoko?
その挑戦的な目は。
What's with that defiant look?
皆さんにはレナさんのリンゴを獲得できるだけの賛辞が用意できまし
Has
て。
everyone prepared proper praise to receive apples from Reina-san?
強気じゃんよ。ボキャ品のあんたにどんな賛辞が思いつくっての？
Don't push yourself. What kind of praise can you think of with your weak vocab?
では、
Well then,
ご覧あそばせ。
allow me to show you. After Satoko flashed Mion and me a defiant look, she changed the tone of her voice suddenly.
あのね、エレナお姉ちゃんのお弁当、サトコも美味しかったよ。
So Reina Oni-chan's lunch. Satoko thought it was yummy too. Satoko looked up at her poutily while talking cutesy. What? How is that praise? That's not even persuasion by tears. That's persuasion by cuteness, isn't it? This is a Reina limited special skill. She blushed and her head spun, waving around in circles. Don't fall for it, Reina! Of course, that was asking for the impossible. Reina glomped Satoko and began rubbing her cheek against her.
かいかい、キュー。サトコちゃんもかいよ。お持ち帰り。
Satoko is so cute. Take you home. Swish, stab, push. Satoko was also presented with apple rabbits. After stuffing them into her mouth, she looked over at Mion and me with that defiant gaze. It only took 5 seconds to take down Reina. That's unfair. To think she had such a trick.
悔しければレナさんにご褒美がもらえるような賛辞をお考えあそばせ。
If it upsets you so much, why not reward Reina-san with some praise? Damn it. That was a dirty trick. First of all, that wasn't even praise.
サトコ、
Satoko,
それで勝てたつもりとはね。
you think you've won with that, don't you?
あんたらの底の浅い技とはわけが違うものを見せてあげようじゃない。
How about I show you guys something much better than your superficial gimmicks?
それは頼もしいぜ、ミオン。それはどんな技なんだ？
That sounds great, Mion. What kind of trick is it?
やるのはケイちゃん。
Kei-chan is going to be the one who does it.
は
Huh?
見せてもらおうではございませんか。
Ho ho ho. Why don't I have you show me then?
豊島のあがきを。
The writhing of an old maid. The plan of attack she suggested was wicked. But it was the only thing we had to beat Satoko. After sipping my tea, I started talking very naturally and calmly. Perfectly.
本当に美味しいよな。
It really is good, isn't it?
これってさ、全部手作りなのかい？
This is all freshly made, right?
ううん。
No.
実はね、これほとんど冷凍物なの。
Actually, most of it, almost all of it was frozen stuff.
じゃあ レナの手作りのって
Then which ones
ど
did
れ
you
だい
make fresh?
その恥ずかしいな。教えなきゃダメ？どうしても？
It's embarrassing. Do I really have to say? Must I? For the synergy of a boy plus handmade lunchbox, her expression had melted into euphoria.
わかるよ。これでしょ。
I already know. This one, right? Uh-huh. Rana turned an even deeper shade of red. The words, "I can't believe it," practically written on her face.
なんでわかるかな？
How can you tell? How?
レナの手作り。
That I made it. Of course, Miyuno told me beforehand. It's been perfect so far. After acting like I was shy, I waited a bit. Next would be the finisher.
レナの
It
匂い
had
がしたから。
your smell. Silence enveloped the area. Reina, face still completely red, froze solid. With a small yelp, Satoko also blushed. Of course, I did too.
レナの手作りのリンゴのウサギさんが食べたいんだ。
I sure would
Nothing.
like to try one of Reina's handmade apple rabbits or something. Even if this was all because I was competing against Satoko, it felt like I had crossed the line as a good 9 yards, I think. Then, at that moment, whoosh, it was a Tupperware container filled with rabbits.
食べてね、ケイチ君。
Please eat some, Kiichi-kun.
いっぱいあるんだよ。
There's plenty for you. Instantly, dozens of the apples were shoved into my mouth, knocking me over.
はい、して、ケイチ君。
Okay, say Keiichi-kun. My head was forcibly laid upon her lap. Even more apples were shoved into my mouth. While she was squealing, one apple after another was forced into my mouth. More and more apples. How about them apples, Satoko? Looks like we win.
ケイちゃん殉職見事なり。
Kei-chan, that was a beautiful sacrifice.
どうよさとこ。
How's that, Satoko?
うちらの完全勝利だね。
This is our complete victory, isn't it?
こんな手、信じられないですの。
I can't believe
悔
it.
しくないもん。
Such trickery. It doesn't bother me at all. Satoko ground her teeth, mortified. We did it. I claimed victory as my consciousness drifted slowly from me. At that time, Reina stopped her squealing and suddenly realized something.
リカちゃん、食べないの？
Rika-chan, you're not eating it?
塩水強すぎたかな？かな？
Did the salt water make it too strong, maybe? Maybe? Looking over, Rika-chan had pulled the toothpick out of the apple rabbit, placed it into her cupped hands, and seemed to be at a loss for what to do.
うさぎさんがかわいそうです。
Poor Mr. Rabbit. I feel so sorry for him.
助けてあげてほしいです。
I want to save him. Wee. That was the sound of blood spurting from Reina's nose.
かいいよ。今夜こそ絶対本持ち帰り。
Tonight I will take you home. She shook sporadically, her head wobbling back and forth. Then, coming back to her senses, she took all the apples around me, gathered them up with a flip, and fixed them back up on a plate.
これでみんな寂しくないよね。これリカちゃんにあげる。ね。
No, they're all just fine, Kay? Here, I'll give them to you, Rika-chan, Kay? Kay? Rika-chan raised up Satoko's hand like a referee. After having that plate of rabbit shoved to her, she whispered,
僕たちが勝ちましたです。
This is our victory. What? A comeback? I just don't care anymore. Thus, my sacrifice ended up being in vain. It was a fun-filled, crazy day. But as soon as the sun began to set, the end of the day really did come quickly.
じゃあね、レナにケイちゃん。また明日ね。
Later, Reina and Kei-chan. See you tomorrow.
ミオ、今日はありがとな。楽しかったぜ。
Thanks for today, Mion. I had a great time.
また明日ね。
See you tomorrow. Satoko and Rika-chan went home as well. We parted ways with Mion, and it ended with just Reina and myself enjoying the evening air on our way home.
ケイチくんも今日は付き合ってくれてありが
Thanks
と
for
う。
coming today, Keiichi-kun.
楽しかった？
Was it fun?
あ
Yeah,
あ、楽しかった。
lots of fun.
まだ家に帰るのが惜しいくらいだぜ。
Almost feels like a waste to go home now.
じゃあさ、
Ah, then we...
ちょっ
well,
とだけ寄り道してもいいかな？
would you mind taking a little detour? Maybe? Maybe?
寄り道
A detour?
遠いのか？
Is it far?
ちょっと歩くけどすぐ済むから。
It's a bit of a walk, but it won't take long. Since we had been walking around all day, I must have seemed a bit tired. Not feeling like teasing Reina, I quietly nodded. Traversing a small path and up a small hill, the land suddenly stretched out before us. There, what looked like the remains of a dilapidated construction site came into view. A large heap of garbage spread out off towards the swamp. Probably illegal dumping. I recalled it being in the newspaper.
今日は久しぶりだから何かあるかな？何かあるかな？
It's been quite a while. I wonder what's here. I wonder what's here.
久しぶりって、レナのようは、あのゴミの山かよ。
When you say it's been a while, you mean the business you had here was with this garbage pile?
ゴミじゃないよ。
It's not garbage.
レナにとっては宝の山だもん。
To me, it's a pile of treasure. Reina had already entered that well-known cute mode of hers. So that meant there was something cute here?
わあ、新しい山だ。
Whoa, a new pile.
ワクワク、ワクワク。
I can't wait, I can't wait. She descended the unstable slope with ease. I'd expect no less from a born and bred country
おい、
girl.
待てよ。今行くから。あったたたた。
Hey, wait, I'm coming. Whoa. My city-raised self was completely pitiful.
いいよ、ケイチくんはそこにいて。すぐ済むから。
It's alright. Just stay right there, Keiji-kun. It won't take long. Reina kindly declined my accompaniment.
転ぶなよ。
Don't fall.
足元に気をつけろよ。
Watch your step.
大丈夫だよ、大丈夫。
I'm fine, I'm fine.
全然平気。
This is nothing at all. Literally bounding among the heaps of trash, Reina disappeared from sight. I didn't like being left behind, but I was still pretty tired from the whole day, so I ended up waiting. Without the lively Reina around, the surrounding area quickly fell into silence. The cry of the Higurashi gently cooled the air. I didn't do my... Fairly exhausted, I began to feel a little sleepy. Just then, a sudden noise of scattering pebbles alerted me to somebody's presence. Startled, I turned around. Standing there was a typical-looking photographer. He spied over at me through his camera. His body was tanned and fit, but something about him seemed unreliable, and he had a bit of an aloof air about him. Well, it didn't seem like he was a bad guy in any case. Whoa! You surprised me. Although startled when I turned around, he overplayed his reaction. That was my line.
驚いたのはこっちですよ。
I'm the one who surprised you.
ごめんごめん。
My bad, my bad.
驚かすつもりはなかったんだ。君はひなみ沢の人かい？
I didn't mean to startle you. Are you from Hinamizawa? I gathered that he wasn't from that question. Unfazed by my suspicious gaze, he introduced himself without my prompting.
僕は富武。
I'm Tomitake,
フリーのカメラマンさ。
freelance photographer.
ひなみ沢にはたまに来るんだ。
I come to Hinamizawa from time to time. I didn't ask who you were.
写真ってのは被写体に断ってから撮るのが礼儀なんじゃないんすかね。
Quite rude to photograph someone without my consent, one would think.
ごめんごめん。
My bad, my bad.
メインは野鳥の撮影でね。
I mainly photograph wild birds.
断った試しがないんだよ。
They can't refuse, you see. So what? You're saying that I'm the same as the birds?
いやいや、夕闇に黄昏る少年があまりにも絵になっていたんでね。
No, well, you see, that image of a young man in the twilight was just picturesque.
本人の許可を取らずにファインダーを覗いたことを謝
I
る。
apologize for trying to take your picture without asking. Adults are pretty slick. All that annoyance I felt for being startled just flew away as he buttered me up. I had no intention of hanging around with this guy trying to get cozy with me, except it didn't seem like Reina would be back soon. But this older guy, Tomitake-san, he didn't mind my cautious responses and continued rambling on by himself.
待たせてごめんね。
Keiichi-kun, sorry to keep you waiting.
もう終わりにするから。
I'm finished now. Reina popped her head out from one of the lower piles of garbage and waved her hand.
連れがいたのかい？
You have someone with you?
お、彼女はあんなところで何をしているんだい？
What would she be doing over there? That's what I
さあ
wanted to
ね
know.。Don't know.
昔起こった殺人事件の死体でも探してるんじゃないですか。
Maybe she's checking on the dismembered corpse that was out here long ago. Tomitake-san looked shaken up by that for a moment. Uh-oh. I responded like I would if I were talking with Reina and the others.
嫌な事件だったね。まだ見つかってないんだろ？
It was quite a disturbing incident. They still haven't found one of the arms.
ケイチ君お待たせ。
Keiichi-kun, sorry to keep you.
待ったかな？かな？
You were waiting a while, I guess.
馬に蹴られる前に退散するかな。
I'd best leave you two lovebirds alone.
驚かせてすまなかったね、ケイイチ君。
Again, my apologies for starting you, Keiichi-kun. Tomitake-san chortled suggestively, then disappeared into the twilight. Missing my chance to retort put me off a bit.
ケイチくん怒ってる？
Keiichi-kun, are you angry?
どうしてだろう？
Why, I wonder. It wasn't Reina's fault, so I decided to brush it off for now.
どうだった？
How was it?
掘り出し物は見つかったか？
Find a treasure trove?
聞いて聞いて。
Oh, yes. So listen.
あのね、
You see?
あったの。
There was
ランディ君人
a
形。
Colonel Randy doll.
ランディ君人形？
A Colonel Randy doll?
ってあれか？フ
Oh,
ァーストフードの店の前に必ず置いてあるあの等身大人形の？
The statues they always have out in front of that fried chicken place. That life-size dummy?
そう、ランディ君。
Yes, Colonel Randy.
かわいい。お持ち帰りしたい。
Cute. I want to take it home. I couldn't tell how she decides what's cute or not, but, well, she seems to want it.
あれはゴミだろ。
It's garbage, right?
お持ち帰りしたきゃしてもいいんだぜ。
No one would care if you take it home, right?
他の山の下敷きになってるの。
It's become the base of another pile.
簡単には掘り出せないし、
I can't dig it out easily.
あそこ明かりがないからすぐ暗くなっちゃうし。
There's no lamppost over there, so it'll get dark pretty soon. Rena seemed quite down about finding a treasure and not being able to bring it back.
俺も手伝ってやるよ。今日のうまかった弁当の恩返しってことでさ。
To repay you for that delicious picnic you prepared today.
ありがとう。
Oh, thank you. Birds heading home to roost proclaimed that the nightfall would soon be upon us.
ケイチ君が手伝ってくれる。ランディ君をお持ち帰りできる。
Keiichi-kun is going to help. I can take Colonel Randy home. Reina staggered along as if intoxicated in her dreamy state of mind. I tried asking her in a way that wouldn't take her out of her cheery state.
なあレナ、
Hey, Reina.
あそこで昔なんかあったのか？
Long ago, did something happen here?
ダムの工事をやってたんだってね。
Seems like they were building a dam here.
詳しく知らないけど。
I don't know the details though. How?
例えばさ、工事中になんかあったとか、
Just wondering if you knew about, you know,
事故とか。
an incident or an accident or something.
知らない。
I don't know. Her tone was disturbingly frank. It sounded more like a denial than an answer. I must have appeared rather dumbstruck. Reina quickly lightened her expression.
実はね、去年までよそに住んでた
Actually,
の。
I didn't live here until a year ago. Huh?
レナも転校
You
生だったのか？
transferred here too?
俺はてっきり。
I was sure that.
だからね、それ以前のことはよく知らない
So,
の。
you see, I really don't know from much before that.
ごめんね。
Sorry. I really don't really know. Don't want to talk about it. That was the kind of feeling she gave me. Thinking about it, of course, it would be like that. This wasn't the type of thing girls would enjoy talking about. It was quite a disturbing incident. They still haven't found one of the arms. If it's just like Tomitake said, then I had a feeling only the Higurashi would know. Now for the Chapter 2 tips.
ケイちゃんってさ、すごいお金持ちってわけでもないの？
So, Kei-chan, you're not stinking rich?
なんだよ突然。俺がいつ高級車で登校したよ。
What is this all of a sudden? Did I come to school in a limo before?
月の小遣いはいくらもらってる？
How much do you get for a monthly allowance?
1000円。
About $10?
あら、結構小市民的ですのね。
I agree, that's like nothing. No, I don't get a month. Like, yeah, for monthly, it's $10 is nothing. Like, at least $30 or $40 would be good. My, that's a rather plebeian amount.
お弁当のおかずも普通ですよ。お金持ちじゃないです。
His lunch is made up of normal stuff. He isn't rich. What are they talking about? To be asked out of nowhere how much I get and then told that's a plebeian amount.
ごめんね、ごめんね。
Sorry. Reina seemed to pick up on my dubious expression and started giggling.
ケイちゃんちってさ、すっごく大きいでしょ？だから建築中からひなみ沢中で前原屋敷って呼ばれて注目の的だったんだよ。
Kei-chan, your house, you know, it's pretty big, yeah? So the architecture has people all around Hinamizawa calling it the Maibara Manor, and it sort of stands out. Maibara Manor?
あんなに大きいお家だから、どんなお金持ちなのかなってみんなで噂し合ってたの。
Since the house is so big, everybody is gossiping, wondering exactly how rich you are. I see. Now I get it. Well, the frame of it is huge. I see how it could cause some misunderstandings.
私の推理では、お家を建てるのにお金をかけすぎて貧乏になってしまったと考えてますのよ。
From what I wager, my deduction, I wager they spent too much money on building the house, and that is why they are now broke.
貧乏でかわいそうです。
Being broke, how very, very unfortunate. Rika-chan took pity on me as she patted my head. I go from being treated like a millionaire to a beggar.
諸君らの楽しい想像をぶち壊すようで悪いが、
Yeah,
うちは
sorry.
金持ちでも貧乏でもないぞ。極めて平均的な普通の家庭だ。
Yeah, sorry for ruining your imagination, but we aren't millionaires or poor. We're the image of a normal, average household.
あれだけ大きな家は普通とは言わないって。しかも玄関は立派で、門は大型車も入れるようになってるし。
You can't call it normal with that huge house. The entranceway is all grand, and the gate is large enough for a truck to get through.
絶対普通じゃないって。 ぜひ今度ケイちゃんの家を探検してみたいよな。お金持ちじゃないと主張しながらもあの邸宅。一体何が隠されているのか。
いいものが隠されてるといいな。はあ、きっと家具を買うお金もなくなってて、殺風景な部屋がいっぱいなのですわ。 絨毯のお部屋ならぜひゴロゴロしてみたいですよ。それいいね、それいいね。レナもゴロゴロしたい。ランディ君人形？あー、そりゃレナのツボだわな。
レナがサトコやリカちゃんをお持ち帰りしたくなるのはわかる。だがランディ君人形だけは理解できないぞ。あんなメガネ親父のどこがいいんだ。
そりゃレナに直接聞けばいいじゃん。どうせだって可愛いんだもんしか言わないだろうけどさ。
レナはよくあそこ工事現場のとこへ宝探しに行くのか？
ちょくちょく見に行くって言ってましたです。
しかし年頃の女の子がゴミあさりね。
レナが楽しいならいいんだと思いますです。
あそこはなんだよ？ ダムの工事現場だったのか？
何年か前に中止になっちゃったけどね。
みんなで力を合わせて戦いましたです。
そうそう。何しろとんでもない話だったんだよ。ひなみ沢が丸ごとダム湖に沈むことに一方的になってさ。
ごめんねごめんね。待たせちゃったかな申し訳ありませんわね、ケイチさん。お化粧直しに時間をかけちゃいまして。
さあとこ、便所には溜めてから行け。一気に出せて楽で早いぞ。
キャッ、花も恥じらう乙女になんて口の利き方。
さてと、今日は快速に乗っ取り部員の諸君に是非を問いたい。彼前原圭一君を新たな部員として我らの部活動に加えたいのだが、いかがだろうか。
レナは異議なし。近隣風情が私の相手を務められるかしら。僕もサタコも賛成しますですよ。
全会一致。おめでとう前原圭一君。君に栄えある我が部への入部試験を許可する。
順を追って説明しろ。俺はまだ入るとは言ってないぞ。何の部活だ？
我が部はだな、複雑化する社会に対応するため活動ごとに提案されるさまざまな条件下、時には順境、あるいは逆境からいかにして。
レナは弱いからいじめないでほしいな。仲良くやろうね。レナさんは甘えてますわ。弱い者は食い尽くされるのが世の常なのでございますわよ。つまりみんなでゲームして遊ぶ部活なのです。
先に断っとくけど、ままごと遊びみたいなレベルじゃないからね。 一生いっぱいに命がかかってるくらい本気でかかった方がいいよ。
楽しくやれればいいじゃないか。そう凄むなよ。
快速第一条、狙うのは1位のみ。遊びだからなんていういい加減なプレーは許さない。
快速第2条、そのためにはあらゆる努力をすることが義務付けられておりますのよ。もちろん僕も頑張りますです。レナも弱いけどね、精一杯頑張ってるの。
よし、俺も本気でやってやるぜ。
ケイちゃんに一応忠告ね。レナも結構えげつないからね。難しいゲームはケイちゃんだけに不利だからね。今日は誰にでもわかるゲームにしよう。スタンダードにトランプのじじ抜きはどう？
よし、受けてやるぜ。
やっぱり罰ゲームがないと燃えないよね。今回はビリに顔面落書きの刑どう？わ
あ、油性じゃないよね。油性じゃないよね。上等でございますわ。
じゃあカード切ってみんなに配るね。じゃあ1枚抜くね。
ま、終盤になればおのずとわかるし、最初はどうしようもないよな。このトランプ結構傷物だろ。まさかみんなにはその傷でそこに伏せたカードが分かってる？
快速第2条ですわ。 圭一さんも勝つために最善の努力をなさいませ。いくつかのカードは特徴的だから圭一君にもすぐ覚えられるよ。
上等だぜ。この程度でハンデになると思うなよ。
ケイちゃんの手札を右から言うぜ。3、4、9、ジャック、クイーン。
ぐわ
ちなみにジジはダイヤの J なのです。
ーうわ
どうカードを入れ替えたって見え見えですわ。上がりです
ーうわー鬼だ。こいつらは鬼だ。レナは鬼じゃないよな。
ごめんね圭一くん。こっちがハートの3だよね。あがり。
おわ
ポイントは減点制ね。着順がそのままマイナス点。トータルで一番少ない人が優勝。
では圭一はビリなので5です。やっぱりさ、綺麗なトランプでやらないと圭一君に不公平だよ。
いいのいいの。ケイちゃんだと男だし。これくらいの逆境は跳ね返せるよね。
貧民風情は逃げ帰って涙で枕を濡らすのがお似合いでございますことよ。ファイトオーです。
I think I've been muted this entire time. Well, I hope none of you, I hope you were all reading, because I think I was muted that entire time. Take your time and look at the cards carefully. It's just as Reina said, several of the cards have their own distinct markings, making them stand out. Memorizing them should be pretty simple. Think about what you can do in this situation. And try everything in your power to improve your chances.
うわ、うまいよケイチくん。その調子。
Whoa, great Keiichi-kun, just like that. I covered the uniquely marked cards with my hands, or other cards, arranging them in such a way they couldn't be seen.
角が割れているのは5だったはずです。
The one, the ripped corner should be the 5,
上がりましたです。
and I'm out. I couldn't let any of those precious hints slip by me. All information is a weapon. Then it was my turn. Satoko fanned out her cards for me.
欲しいのは7なんだが、これ
See,
かな。
I want the 7. Is it this one?
さてどうかしら。
I wonder about that.
聞いてみないとわかりません
You
からよ。
won't know unless you take it. There was a bit of dismay in her expression, like she doesn't want it taken. That kind of expression won't let the momentary lapse slip by me.
見えた。
I know.
これだ。
It's this one. Got a 7 of spades. A cheer of ooh rang out.
なんですって。
What is this?
7は一番わかりにくいはずですのに。
The 7 should be the hardest one of them all to tell apart. It wasn't from memorizing the markings. The slight changes in their expressions as I was selecting a card were enough.
ほらケイちゃん隠さない。
Can't hide it from me, Kei-chan.
この傷が確かダイヤの2だったよね。
This mark means it's the 2 of diamonds.
あれ
What? She was startled by her own misread. Of course, everyone else was too.
おお、みーちゃんがカード間違えるなんて珍しいね。
It's rare that Mi-chan gets a card wrong.
違う。
No.
ケイちゃん、
Kei-chan,
あんた
could it be
まさか。
you? They told them they could tell them apart by different marks. That mark was a nail scratch. So I put a new one on it.
ダイヤの2を偽装したというですの？
Are you saying that he disguised it as the 2 of diamonds?
味な真似をするでござ
What
い
an
ますわ。
impressive show of wit.
ケイチ、一矢報いましたです。
Keiichi landed a clean hit. Clap, clap, clap.
やったねケイチくん。
That's great, Keiichi-kun.
大前線だよ。だよ。
That was an incredible match, you know? You know? Having defeated the Forerunner, Mion, my brilliant battle left me ecstatic. But by total points, it was already set in stone that Mion would win and I would finish last. I laughed haughtily, selecting the tone of my voice carefully to get on Mion's nerves.
まあビリは確定だけどさ。最後にミオンから1本取れたから大満足かな。
Well, I'm going to end up a loser, but I'm satisfied with one-upping Mio in the end. That should be the proverbial slap in the face to Mion, who was on top already and ensured victory.
この回、仮にケイちゃんが1着になってもトータルビリが確定するんだけど、嫌でしょ？
Even if Kei-chan gets first place this round, guess you'll end up in last place overall. Don't you hate that?
当たり前だ。
Of course I do.
一騎打ちしようよ。
Let's have a duel.
ワンチャンス。
One chance.
勝てたらケイちゃん1位で私ビリの大逆転。
If you
なんて
win,
どう？乗るでしょ？
if you win, we'll swap first and last place. How about it? You up for it? She fell for it. A chance for an upset that wouldn't be possible without goading her into it.
ワンチャンスだと。
One chance, you say.
ルールを説明しろ。
Let me hear the rules. Mio discarded 2 cards from her hand and replaced one with the Joker card that was on the table, and shuffled the resulting hand behind her back.
右手のカードと左手のカード
The card in my right hand or the card in my left?
どっちがジョーカーか当てたらケイちゃんの勝ち
If Kei-chan can guess which hand the Joker is in, then he wins.
今後ろに回した時ジョーカーを抜いたってことはないだろうな。
When you turned around just now, you didn't pull out the Joker, did you?
ケイちゃんが負けたら反対の手のカードも公開するよ
If you lose, I'll show the card in the other hand.
それなら OK でしょ
Is that okay? The other three gulped nervously at this unexpected turn of events.
よし
Alright,
乗ってやる。
you've got it. Mion grasped one card in each hand and thrust them out at me. First, I need to inspect them closely. The card on the right had no distinguishing marks. Couldn't tell which one it was.
どっちだろう。ケイチくん、慎重にね。
Which one, I wonder? Keiji-kun, be careful.
ああもちろんだぜ。逆転の大チャンスだ。
Yeah, of course. This is my chance for a big comeback. Looking closely at the card on the left, I saw a little wear. It wasn't one I hadn't seen before. That
あの
card
カー
is...
ドは
I didn't recognize the mark on the left card. Forgot to narrate. I didn't recognize the mark on the left card from the small number I had memorized. I didn't know what the left card was, but I could tell from Satoko's reaction that the card had already appeared during the game. Since it had already appeared before, that meant that it definitely wasn't the Joker.
ふーん
Ooh,
ケイちゃんは右のカードを疑ってる
Kei-chan thinks it's the one on the right.
じゃあ右にする
Will you choose that one then?
右
Will you? The left card definitely wasn't the Joker. If I could trust that theory, then I should have been able to declare that the card on the right was the Joker. Even without Mion's taunting, the one on the right was the most suspicious. But wasn't it a bit too rash to decide based solely on Satoko's reaction? More carefully. Ah, I remember now. That marked. The left card is, no doubt about it, the 7 of clubs.
うん。きっとクローバーの7だね。
It's a 7 of clubs, I see. I've won. The card on the left was the 7 of clubs. So that meant the card on the right was the Joker. And then, just before my hand touched the right card, I froze.
さすがミオンだ
I
よ。
would expect no less from you. There was a wave of murmurs amongst the onlookers at my sudden halt, right before I confirmed the right card was the Joker.
ケイチさんは何を言ってるのでございましょう。
Huh? What could Keiji-san possibly be saying?
だって左
I mean, the left one is...
C です。
へえ
Ooh,
ケイちゃんはどうして右がジョーカーじゃないって
what makes you so
確信で
certain
きるの
the right one isn't the Joker, Kei-chan? Mion let loose an unexpected question. Everyone else was baffled.
右のカードが何かは俺にもわからないさ。
I don't know what the card on the right could
だが
be, but I know
左
the
の
one
カー
on
ド
the
が
left is
ク
the
ローバー
7
の
of
7だって
clubs.
ことだ。
Then
残る右のカードが
Doesn't that leave
ジョ
the
ーカー
right
な
one
の
as
じゃ
the
ありませんか
Joker?
必ず左右どっちかがジョーカ
one
ー
of
と
them
約
has to
束
be
で
the
しょ。
Joker, right?
ああ
Yeah.
左右のど
One
っ
of
ちか
those
に
is
ジ
the
ョーカーがある
Joker,
のは
right?
本当だろうな。
ケイチは勘がいいです。
Keiichi has good intuition.
お
Huh?
リコちゃん、それってどういう
Rika-chan, what do you mean by
つまりさ
So
クロー
basically,
バーの7は
the 7 of clubs?
さっき俺が
I
サトコ
discarded
のスペードの
that
7と合わせて捨て
matching
た
it
カ
with
ードなんだよ。
Satoko's 7 of spades earlier. Everyone's attention snapped to the discard pile at the same time. The truth of the matter couldn't be discerned from that sloppy pile.
つまり
So that means
ミオンは捨て札を1枚拾って左のカードに重ねている。つまり
Mion pocketed one of the discarded cards and then aligned it over the left card. And that means
そうか、わかった。
I see. I get it.
左のカードをクローバーの7に見せかけているんだね。
This left card is being disguised as a 7 of clubs, right? It was the first time since the start of the match that a shadow ran across Mion's expression, and I didn't let that slip by. Then, with a grand flourish, I declared it loudly.
ジョーカーは左手だ。
The Joker is the left one. It was an intense moment. That 1 second felt like an eternity for everyone there. Breaking that silence, the first to speak was Mion.
初代部長として私も様々なプレイングを見てきたけど、
Being the first president of this club, I've been witness to a variety of performances.
ケイちゃん、
Kei-chan,
あんたは
yours is
ベストだよ。
the best.
ベストオブザベストオブザベスト。
The best of the best of the best. Probably the greatest compliment Mion could give. Mion accepted her defeat, dropping the cards from both hands. My comeback victory. Rika-chan placed her hand on my head and began petting it, congratulating me on my victory. Huh?
リカちゃんか？
Rika-chan is... Reina and Satoko gaped at us, as if they had seen a ghost.
なんだよレナ。別に俺はインチキしてないだろ。
What is it, Reina?
先生堂々と。
It's not as I cheated or anything, right? This was fair and square.
リカは慰めるときにしか頭を撫でませんの。
Rika only pet someone on the head to console them. What's the meaning of... At that moment, Reina let out a small shriek.
ケイチくん、
Keiichi-kun,
こんなことって。
this is how it was?
ケイちゃんならさ、
You know, Kei-chan,
ここまで読んでくれる
I
と
thought
思
you
ってた
reading
よ。
to it that far. Everyone froze. No, it was just
賭け
me.
だった。
It was a gamble.
ケイちゃんがおてんばさんの早とちりだったなら、負けてたのは私だった。
If you had just jumped to conclusions like a little brat, I would have lost. It was the answer everyone was certain about. Mion picked up the card from the losing hand.
ケイちゃんはさ、この負けを誇っていいよ。
Kei-chan, you know, you should take pride in this loss. She turned it around. That was the card that proclaimed the victory of this duel. The card under the 7 clubs. Unbelievable. It was the 2 of diamonds. It was a setup behind the setup. If I just picked the right one without reading so deeply into it.
部長、園崎ミオンの名において、
I, Mion Sonozaki, as the club president,
前原圭一、
do accept
あんたの我が部への入部を許可する。
Keiichi Maebara's membership into our club. As I slumped to my knees, dazed, everybody let out a round of applause for the excellent effort I gave despite my defeat.
これにて決着。
The match is now over.
本日の優勝は私、園崎ミオン。
Today's victor
栄
is
えあるビリは前原圭一。
Today's victor is me, Mion Sonozaki, and our exalted loser is Keiichi Maebara. Everyone made a commotion, applauding cheerfully. I felt I was bested, but I was so soundly beat that it unexpectedly felt rather refreshing.
みーちゃんが後ろ手で細工したとき、またやるんだって思ってドキドキしちゃった。
When Mi-chan pulled that little trick behind her back, I got excited, thinking she's going to do it again.
ケイチさんが正解に触れる直前で止まったときにはかかったって思いましたわ。
When Keiichi stopped the moment before touching the correct card, I thought he fell for it.
見事に引っかかってくれましたです。
He fell for it quite handily. Huh? Hey, wait. All of them knew from the starting but still got so excited, so earnestly.
楽しくなるようにみんなで盛り上げましたですよ。
Everyone got excited to make it more fun. You.
お お前らみんな鬼だ
You're all
人
demons.
手なし
You monsters.
さてケイちゃんに罰ゲームだね。
Now then, Kei-chan, it's time for your penalty.
今日は部活の初日だしね。
Since it's your first day now, since it's your first day participating,
ソフトに行こうかね。
I'll go easy, okay?
いきなり登校拒否になられちゃ困るし。
It would be a problem if you refused to come to school. The other three members held down my arms and shoulders firmly. Mion approached, licking her lips. Her right hand went to pull something out of her pocket. That's a felt tip marker, and it's a giant permanent one.
さて行くよ。
Okay, here we go. She took the cap off the marker and brought it slowly up to my face while I was immobilized.
やめろ
No! I let out my death throes. As soon as the club activities were finished, Raina flew off. Probably so she could dig out that cute Colonel Randy doll that she wasn't able to take home yesterday. So today it was just Mion and me walking home together, a rather rare occurrence.
宝の山か。
A mountain of treasure, huh?
捨ててる連中もまさかレナに感謝されてるとは夢にも思わないだろうね。
The guys throwing it away probably never thought in their wildest dreams that Reina would be grateful to them. Mountain of treasure meaning the dam construction site from before. Oh, right. Mion would probably tell me. That murder by dismemberment that seemed to have happened there.
あそこさダムの工事現場
Over there, you know, at that dam
なん
construction
かあっ
site.
たんだろ
Did something happen there
昔
long ago?
そりゃあったよ戦いが。
Something sure did. A grand battle.
座り込みやったりデモをやったり。
There were sit-ins and demonstrations. It was a bit different from what I wanted to hear, but I decided to listen just the same.
自分たちの土地がダム湖に沈むんだもんな
It was our land that was going to be sunk into the dam
俺だって戦う
reservoir.
だろうな
I would have fought as well, probably.
役人どもは本当に一方的だった。
The government guys were really adamant about it,
偉そうで威張ってた。
acting all big and full of themselves.
金で解決できないと悟るとあらゆる嫌がらせをしてきたんだよ。
Since they figured out that they couldn't sell with money, they did a bunch of nasty stuff.
いやらしい奴らだった。
They were nasty guys. Leon spoke excitedly, as if the whole thing was happening right in front of
よ
her.
く勝てたな相手は国だろ
I'm amazed you guys won. You were facing the federal government, right?
村長や村の有力者たちがね、方々に陳情した。
The mayor and prominent figures in the village all signed petitions.
東京にも行ったし、いろんな政治家に根回しもした。
They went to Tokyo and struck deals with legislators.
そうしてるうちに計画は撤回されたんだよ。
And as a result, the development plan was retracted.
私たちの完全勝利だった。
It was our complete victory.
暴力沙汰とかにはならなかったのか
There wasn't any violence, was
傷
there?
害事件とか殺人
Like assaults or murders?
なかった。
None. She promptly cut me off. The same as Reina had. Her words signaled the end of discussion. Tomitake said one arm wasn't found in the incident. I I thought that a murder by dismemberment had occurred, but I guess I was wrong. My curiosity unsated, I sighed dejectedly inside.
じゃあね、また明日ね。
Later, see you tomorrow.
ケイちゃんそれ、うちに帰るまで消しちゃダメだからね。
Kei-chan, you can't wash that off until you get home. You got it?
わかってるよ、消さねえよ。
I got it, I won't. Mion held back her laughter while stealing glances at my face. I wonder what kind of nasty doodles they drew. Damn you, Mion, you shall rue this day. If our roles are ever reversed, I'm going to go all out. All over your face so you won't be able to take it off, even with the scouring pad. Upon arriving home, I ran straight into my mom, embarrassing myself yet again. The mood I'd come home to was already on edge. It's not an uncommon thing in our family. Whenever Dad can't come up with a good idea, it always ends up like this. He stomps around the arm with his arms crossed. Stomps around the house. Mom whispered into my ear.
おかえりケイチ。お父さん大変そうだからそっとしてあげてね。
Welcome home, Keiichi. Dad, he's in a bit of a rut right now, so don't bother him, okay?
またアイデアに詰まったわけ？
He can't come up with a new idea?
今回は締め切りが重なったからね。
It's because the deadlines are so close together this time.
お父さん充電期間がないと大変だから。
Your dad needs time to recharge or he doesn't work as well. Dad's paintings feed our entire family. If he runs out of ideas, then it's the end of the Maibaras. We've never gone hungry before. Could it be that my dad is a master painter?
家の中をうろうろしないで、表に散歩でも行った方がアイデアが出るんじゃねえの？
Wouldn't it be easier to get an idea taking a walk outside rather than wandering around the house?
今回は生活空間がテーマだから。
The theme of the piece this time is in the household.
お父さんこの家をモチーフにしたいみたい。
So it seems your dad wants to use this house as a motif. It's quite a bothersome motif.
ケイチ、部屋の中を少しは片付けなさい。みっともないぞ。
Keiichi, tidy your room for once in a while. It looks terrible.
ごめん。後で片付けるよ。
Sorry, I'll clean up later. Come on, please don't use my room as the
ケイチ、
motif.
お夕飯までまだ時間があるから。
Keiichi, there's still some time before dinner,
表でも散歩してらっしゃい。
so please go take a walk out back or something. Dad's moods are only temporary. As soon as he gets an idea, his mood improves and he starts humming. Until then, it wouldn't be a bad idea to just go take a walk so I don't aggravate him further.
じゃあそうするかな。
Well, I guess I will then. I said I was going to take a walk, but I didn't have any particular destination in mind. I just needed to kill some time. I got on my bike and pondered where to go. I could just go read at the bookstore, but it would take about an hour by bike to get to town. It would be dark by the time I got back, so I didn't want to go unless I had to. Roads at night here in Hinamizumo creep me out. If Mion or Satoko ever found out about that, I smiled wryly. Oh yeah, Rena was probably still at the Mountain of Treasure, the dam construction site. The excavation of Colonel Randy was probably taking her a while. It wouldn't be so bad to have her owe me one.
次の部活の時に恩返ししてもらえるかもしれないしな。
She might return the favor next time we have club activities. With a little bit of self-interest in mind, I set off towards the dam construction site. Tometake-san might be there as well, the only person with information about the incident that both Reina and Mion denied knowing anything about. If I met him again, I'd like to ask him for more details. To ask, was there really a dismemberment here in Hinamizawa? That was my real intention. I spotted Reina struggling up on the slope of the garbage pile. It looked like Colonel Randy was lodged in there pretty firmly. It didn't look like Reina would be able to excavate him by herself. Realizing that Tomitake wasn't around, I began climbing down the slope unsteadily.
Yo, Rena.
Hey, Reina.
精が出ますな。
Looks like you're wicking up a sweat.
ケイチ君
Whoa. Keiichi-kun,
どうしたのこんなところへ
what brings you to a place like this? A place like this, huh? I see. She was aware of it at least.
事故発生の緊急通報を受け参上しました。
I received a signal for emergency assistance at the accident
負
site.
傷者はどこでありますか？
Where's the injured party?
事故って
Huh? Accident? Huh?
ランディ君人形がゴミ山に生き埋めになっているとの通報でしたが。
But there was a report Colonel Randy was buried alive in the trash pile.
なんだびっくりした
Huh? Oh, that. You scared me.
ケイチ君脅かさないでよ
Don't frighten me like that, Keiichi-kun.
冗談だよ。
I was just kidding.
レナが一人で困ってるだろうなって思ってさ、
I thought you might
手
be
伝いに来てやったんだよ。
I thought you might be struggling by yourself, so I came up to help you out.
レナのために
You came for me? Well, I filled my quota for today. If I don't see Reina blush at least once a day, I'm not gonna get my daily required nutritional intake.
冗談だよ。こっちまで恥ずかしくなるだろ
Just kidding. You're embarrassing me now. So, huh?
冗談ってどこからだろうど
Part
こか
was
ら
it?
だろ
Was the joke? What part was it? I just ignored her
う。
bewilderment.
ほれ、どいたどいた。
Okay, now move out of the way.
で、どこだよ、ラン
So
ディ君
where's
は。
Colonel Randy?
あごめん
Ah, sorry.
ほらこの隙間から
Can't you see him
見える
in that gap?
こりゃ、本当に生き埋めだな。
He's really buried in there. The Colonel Randy was sideways, surrounded by boards and other construction materials, like they were caging him inside. According to Reina, it wasn't like this yesterday. It seems as though another illegal dumper came yesterday, dumped again, and now he's buried like that.
この山を一人でどけるつもりだったのか？
You're trying to move this pile all by yourself?
その細い腕で。
With those scrawny arms? There's no way she would be able to do that with her slender arms.
でもランディ君人形かわいいんだ
But, Colonel Randy, so cute.
もんお店のランディ君には鎖がついてるけどこれならお持ち帰りできるは
There's a chain on the Colonel Randy at the store. This one though, I should be able to take this one home. How? If Reina gave up on this Colonel Randy, she'd probably start devising a plan to steal the one in front of the store. As Reina's guardian, I won't allow her to sully her hands with crime.
どいてろよ、俺がやる。
Out of the way. I'll do it. Reina blushed again, but this time I left it alone. The pile was enormous. Also, the more days we wasted, the more likely another illegal dumping would occur. If it got buried any deeper, there would be nothing that could be done.
ケイチ君レナも手伝えるよ手伝わせて
Keiichi-kun, I'll help too. Let me help.
帰って邪魔になるから下がってろって。
You just get in the way, so stay back.
よいしょー。
Pulling out scraps, bending them, tossing them aside. I quickly became covered in sweat and dust. Flying objects drew beautiful arcs across the twilight sky, one after another. Lumber, timber, plywood. Damn it. No matter how much I threw out, there was still more. Even though I could see Colonel Randy right there. After grandstanding like that in front of Reina, I felt frantic because of how little I had
本気
progressed.
でやるなら、斧とかノコギリとかがいるかもしれねえな。
If I was going to do this seriously, I'd need an axe or saw or something.
もういいよケイチ君
That's enough, Keiichi-kun.
すごい汗だよ
You're so sweaty.
そんな 無理しなくてもい
You
いよ。
don't have to try so hard.
レナのためにやってるだけだ。
I'm just doing it for you, Reina.
気にするな。
Don't worry about it. Reina began sputtering and turned beet red. Whoops. I meant to say I was trying my best as to keep her from being a criminal. Oh well.
さすがに休憩。
I guess I just need a break.
こいつは手強いぜ。
This is pretty tough. I sprawled on my back over at the grassy slope.
ごめんね、ごめんね。
I'm so sorry.
すごい汗だく。
You're covered in sweat. Reina patted her handkerchief against my forehead. I felt pretty nice.
あのさ、ちょっとここで休んでてね。
Well, wait here a minute, okay?
私、家近いから
My house is pretty close.
麦茶とか持ってきてあげるね。
I'll bring you some barley tea, okay? Leaving the handkerchief on my forehead, Reina took off running. The cries of the Higurashi gently cooled the air. After I was certain that Reina was gone, I picked myself up and headed towards what I discovered earlier. There was a garbage pile of magazines and newspapers bound up in twine. Unless I'm mistaken, I believe it was around here. There it was. They were bound stacks of not so reputable tabloids. They were stacked chronologically, going back quite a few years. It was quite a disturbing incident. They still haven't found one of the arms. It was just as Tomitake had said, that undoubtedly there were a mention of the murder. These are troubled times. There is no end to these sickening incidents. There's a large part of society drawn in by these incidents as well. So it had to be recorded. Somewhere. I unfastened the packages and opened the rain-soaked pages carefully, looking over the table of contents. Not here. Next one. Not here. Next one. It was hard to search since I didn't know when it happened. I didn't know who the perpetrator of the victim was either. Not only knew it had happened here, I looked up every so often checking to see if Reina had come back or not. I wouldn't want her to see me gawking at a dirty magazine, but it wasn't just that. Both Reina and Mion said they didn't know, but it had happened without a doubt, as long as Tomitake wasn't lying. If both Reina and Mion, yeah, there it was. If they had just said that, then I wouldn't have gotten so hung up on it. An incident that neither Reina nor Mion wished to talk about. Trying to uncover it after they tried to conceal it out of good intentions. That made me feel like I was acting against my friends. Hinamizawa dam worker lynching, murder by dismemberment. Here it is. The featured article was in the back, and it seemed there was a photograph and colored pages at the front. The pages of the featured article were stuck together and weren't easy to open. Reina could return at any moment. Feeling rushed, I gave up and opened the photograph page. The police investigators were carrying a body bag, and newspaper reporters were all bathing in it in camera flashes. The image was blurry and hard to understand, but I could definitely make out the headlines. A tragic nightmare at the Hinamizawa construction site. Lynching and murder/dismemberment. The victim was the site foreman. He had assaulted his assailants daily with an explosive backlash from his daily actions. It's a horrible image to see the site foreman as it happened. It really did happen. It seemed the details were on the next page. I turned the page without pausing. On it was: the assailants butchered the victim's body with hatchets and pickaxes, then used an axe to split the cadaver into 6 pieces: the head, arms, legs, and torso. I could understand just from the headline that it was just too terrible. An incident. Normally a lynching is just assault and murder, right? Dismemberment with hatchets and pickaxes? That wasn't a lynching. It was a merciless killing to the letter, a brutal murder. Done by a group of people. Done by, with hatchets. with pickaxes, with a hatchet.
うわー！
驚いたかな？驚いたかな？
Did I startle you? Did I startle you? Rana dropped the hatchet she was holding onto the grass after being startled by my voice.
ケイイチくんね、さっきほら斧とかがあると便利だって言ったじゃない？
Keiichi-kun, you see, earlier, yeah, you said it would help if you had an axe or something, didn't you?
それでね、レナ、
So,
物置からちゃんとナタ持ってきたんだ
then
よ。
I brought a hatchet for you from the shed. Rana fluttered her arms in a panic, continuing to explain and apologize. It seemed I'd been glaring at her pretty intensely.
ごめん。ちょっとオーバーに驚きすぎたかな。
I'm sorry. I guess my reaction was a bit overboard.
こっちこそごめんね。
No,
ごめんね。
I'm sorry as well. I'm sorry. Night was drawing close. I was pretty worn out and it wouldn't hurt to do the rest
最後の
tomorrow.
針はそのナタじゃないと壊せそうにない。
Doesn't look like we can break that last beam without
せっ
the
かく持ってき
hatchet.
てくれたんだし、明日借りるよ。な。
You brought it after all. I'll have to borrow it tomorrow, alright?
うん。
Okay.
何しょんぼりしてるんだよ。明日にはランディ君が掘り出せるんだぜ。
Why do you look so glum? Tomorrow we'll be digging out Colonel Randy, right?
そうだよね。
You're right.
早くランディ君をお持ち帰りしたい。
I really want to take Colonel Randy home soon. We both knew that it was useless to apologize any more than that. I quenched my thirst with the barley tea Arana brought and wiped off the sweat that had now gone cold. We took the bath to head home. I felt quite guilty about the tabloid wrapped up in my jacket. And that's the end of the third chapter. And I think I'm going to end it here. I'm going to end the stream here, and then we can I'll continue another time. So, thank you everyone for joining. I bought every single arc, so it's going to be a long time until I'm done. That's the end of the stream.